All right, Lee Teat.
All right.
We're here, Friday main event, Mike Molder and Lee Teat, and it's been an adventure so far, Lee.
It's all good. We're ready to talk football.
It's spring football, and I've already had 2 or 3 goof-ups, and then
we get out of the way early.
That's
what spring football's for.
My darn coach wouldn't answer the phone. The first coach a guy could give him to answer the phone, he's out barbecuing. Like I guess we're just second fiddle to him. And of course, I'm talking about Eric Swinson, head coach at. Hey, Coach, what's Huntington going to do this year, man?
Well, we've got a shot to be really good. I mean, we've got 8 guys back on defense and 7 back on offense, and I think we've got like 19 or 20 seniors, and that's the most that I've ever had. Probably the most we've had since I've been coaching here, even as assistant coach. So, a good quality group, and we got some good guys behind them. So, we have an opportunity to have a really special year.
Well, Coach, one thing, we try to look at when we're gauging teams in the preseason is the key factor to us is how many players they got returning. And outside of Dallas Willis and Kelby Pearson, you pretty much bringing every one of your skilled players back, aren't you?
Yeah, we have most of them coming back. The backfield is back for the most part. The offensive line, for the most part, is back. We lost a strong tackle and a center, but I think we're actually maybe a little, we're going to be really good up front, I think, So, yeah, we've got we're a little thin at some spots, but, for a 1A team, I think we all are probably.
Well, Coach, one of those starters, of course, the quarterback Hunter Inslee. I think, he really had a breakout year for you guys last year. Rushed for over 1,400 yards. I think he passed for 700. He had 29 TDs rushing, 9 TDs passing. I think you really, in my opinion, you got to put the rest of the state on notice. This guy really, I think, should be the front runner for Mr. Football heading into the season. Would you agree?
Well, I think he should be. I thought he should have been in the conversation last year. He had a heck of a year. I think he will be. We're changing some things up, trying to, keep him a little bit fresher. He took a lot of licks last year out of our offense and that single wing. So, we're trying some different stuff to, to kind of maybe alleviate some of his pain that he gets put through. But he's also a great safety. And he didn't, last year at safety, we really didn't stick him in until somebody crossed the 50. And then we put Hunter in and, just to try to save some licks on him. Mm-hmm. So, he's probably better back there than he is at quarterback. And he's got quite a few, he's got a few schools looking at him. And, of course, he's a verbal commit to UT in baseball. So
right.
He's a good athlete.
Well, Coach, we wanted to talk to you a little bit, obviously, about the show here is a spring show. So how'd your spring go, and did you get through your scrimmages pretty healthy?
Well, I tell you what we did this year for the first time ever. We always do spring early. We very rarely do it in May, so I usually go out at the end of February. And a small school like ours, we share, almost every kid plays baseball.
Right. Right.
So what I did this year is we went out for our 2 weeks, and we mainly we didn't scrimmage anybody.
Right.
We went out, we installed, we worked on technique, fundamental. We kept the contact really low, and we had some people that wanted to scrimmage, but with as many kids we had, some of them being as good as they are at baseball. Sometimes I don't know if that's fair to a baseball coach. So,
right.
we let them go out, and we got through our stuff, and we got a lot done, and I think that's all I really wanted.
We're joined by phone with Huntington head coach Eric Swinson here on the Friday main event. Coach, obviously we've done a lot of talking about returning players. I always like to know, there's always typically 1 or 2 kids every spring practice. Maybe they hit puberty, at the end, toward the end of last year, put on a growth spurt, maybe put on some muscle mass. And who would you say describe that for this Huntington squad in the spring this year?
Well, I would say that one of them was Brett Huss. He played blocking back for us last year, and he's put on a lot of size, really strong. Speed is up quite a bit. Another one would be a kid named Sebastian Key, who played a lot of defensive line last year, but I can see him working on both sides of the ball this year. And then another one would be a big offensive lineman. His name's Nathaniel Cranlow. He's about 6'3", 6'4", got great feet, and I think he's going to be He's going to be something special. He's going to be a senior. Last year's his first year to play. But a year in the weight room and really getting after it helped him immensely.
Well, Coach, I got a little over and under for you here. Cole Edwards returns this year handling your kicking duties, but senior Dallas Willis handled all 8 punts you had last year. I got over and under at 5 punts this season for you guys. Are you going to take the over?
I'll take the over.
I think we gave him a hard time about that last year.
We did. He don't
what
like,
do you even carry a punter
Yeah,
for?
he don't even like to punt that ball there.
I don't like to. I do. I will. I tell you what. I'll do anything to keep doing. If we're anywhere close to 4th and 3 under, we're going.
Right.
Almost unless we're coming out of the shadow of our end zone. I just feel like what we do, if we can't get a yard or two,
right,
then we got to do something a little bit different. But the way we run the football, if we can't get a cut, and sometimes we don't make it, but. It does make it interesting, though.
Well, Cole had kind of he hit a rough year a couple years ago. Of course, he missed that extra point, I think, in the playoffs. And you and I both talked about this last year, how much he worked on his game. He had a really good year for you guys last year. Will he be doing the punting for you this year?
Possibly. He'll for sure be kicking and, extra field goals and all that stuff.
Right.
He's got a tremendous leg. And I figure I wouldn't be surprised if he's not putting 60, 70% of them in the end zone. That's what we're hoping for. But 95% would be real good. But he can kick it. And punting, he looked good in practice last year. We try to rugby punt like everybody else and their mama now. But Cole's more of a straight-on punter, and he's got a really good foot. And so that'll be something that we'll deal with quite a bit whenever we get started up, but I can foresee him being the front runner for punt anyway.
Right. Well, Coach, right now in region play, I think we're expecting Wayne County to probably be one of your toughest opponents. But when you get outside of the region, that Milan rivalry, it goes way back. You think emotionally that's the biggest game for you guys throughout the season?
It used to be. I'm not so sure that that's our biggest game now. I think that Wayne County's a big one for our guys, but if you look, the Waverly game had turned into that.
Right.
Had turned into a bloodbath the last 2 years, and then we've got McKenzie on the schedule. But Milan is still big. It's still big. It's just that I don't think it's as big as it once was.
Right.
Well, Coach, most of the so-called experts kind of have this down to a 4-man race. They're expecting to be a 4-man race this year anyway. I think South Pittsburgh and Greenback are the teams most people are talking about over on the east side. I think on your side, probably you guys in Lake County are getting most of the press right now. Are there any teams over on the west side that you know about that, maybe it may be a dark horse could possibly sneak up and get one of you guys?
It wouldn't surprise me for Cornersville to have another year. I know they're really, even though they, playoff wise, they're over here with us. So,
right.
It wouldn't surprise me for somebody like Cornersville to have a good year because you come off back-to-back state championship appearances. That builds a lot of confidence in your kid. That's worth more than anything. They lost a lot of seniors, but my understanding was they had a really good freshman or sophomore class that was coming up,
right.
And their numbers are really good. I really think Wayne County could be good. They're always really good. They're always really good. They coach the quarterbacks really well. They do a lot of things that are they're hard to defend, and they made Coach Cruz the head coach, and I think it's just going to keep on rolling.
Yeah. Well, Coach, man, it's always great catching up with you, buddy. Hopefully you'll be freed up where we can talk to you again this fall.
Well,
hope you didn't let that barbecue get burnt.
No, well, it was good. Well, I appreciate you guys having me on.
Well, Coach, good luck to you, buddy. We'll catch up with you again soon.
All right, thank you.
Thanks,
Coach.
See you.
Well, Lee, yeah, man. I was trying to cut him some slack, but
Oh,
we
that's
called him
hilarious.
about 5 times. I keep getting his voicemail. And he said, what did he say? He thought we was telemarketers.
Yeah, we're telemarketers.
Like, man, I've had this dude on my show 5 years in. He got me in his contact list.
We're telemarketers.
we are a high priority, no doubt. But
Yeah. Well, barbecue, you know. It's,
yeah. But I love Coach Swenson. He's a good one, man, and his team's gonna be solid this year. Gonna be good.
He's stacked.
Well, Lee, we got a whole lot of interviews to get to. I don't want to take too much time here. We're going to go ahead and play an interview. I went to a Shelbyville scrimmage with Wilson Central, and I got a chance to catch up with Justin Palmer, and we'll play that. We'll have Shane Jacobs on after that interview. So we'll play the Shelbyville interview, and we'll have Shane Jacobs lined up right after that interview. Right. It's Friday main event. We'll catch you guys here in a minute. Mike Molder here, Friday main event. We're with Shelbyville head coach Justin Palmer. Coach, spring practice wrapping up. You guys played a half so far with Wilson Central. Your impression so far?
Our defense is playing really well, especially our D-line and our linebackers. You know, let them get behind us one time in the secondary and just kind of got caught sleeping there on some play action. But otherwise, our defense played really well. Offense struggling a little bit right now. You know, we put our players in some bad situations there just because we're not really game planning or anything like that, and ran some plays we probably shouldn't have. But struggling a little bit on offense. Hopefully we can find a little bit better rhythm here in the second part of this scrimmage.
And Coach Trammell obviously graduates, Trice graduates. You lose another kid to Blackman transfer. Your impressions of your offense? I know you said you got some distance to go, particularly Cunningham. How's he look? And who do you expect to be the playmakers this year on offense?
Well, Cade looks like a talented sophomore. Some plays are really good, but then some plays are like a sophomore who hasn't played. So, you know, that's just kind of what you got to live with for a while. But he'll get better. He'll improve. He works hard, so he's going to get better. You know, we've got some guys that got to step up. Slade Simmons is one. He's not playing tonight. We expect big things out of him at receiver. Our two running backs have been really good this spring, and DeMarcus Smalls and Caleb Marsh. And then Mason Day and Mason Wright are two guys that we expect to help us in the passing game and catch some passes and some of those little jet sweeps too.
I talked to Gary briefly. Of course, he said you had a kid that transferred in from Georgia. I think he's contributing some. Any other kids you weren't really expecting heading into the 2019 season that has been a surprise this spring?
Well, the kid from Georgia, Braden Moore, that moved over here, he's done a really good job. He's been a good addition to the team. And then there are some other guys that have come out and still kind of to be determined if they'll make big-time contributions. But I like the group that we've got right now. Just got to work some kinks out offensively, but I think we'll be okay.
Hey, Coach, I went to Franklin County last week and talked to Coach McCurry. Teams in this region this year to focus on, obviously Page, Summit, you guys, Lincoln County, I'd say Franklin County, all teams kind of expected to finish toward the top. He really liked Summit. What's your impression of the region?
Yeah, I think it's a tough region. You know, with it only being 6 teams, it's going to be very critical to win them all if you're going to win the region, because you won't be able to afford to drop one with only 6 teams, because that's only 5 games that you're playing. So our region's always really good. Page and Summit have won it the last 2 years, so, you know, until we can knock one of them off, I would say those two are the favorites.
Coach, I really appreciate you letting me come out. Good luck to you this season.
All right, appreciate it. Thanks.
All right, Lee, that was Justin Palmer. Man, he's one of the really good young coaches, I think, here in Middle Tennessee. I really enjoy talking to him every year. We had Eric Swenson on 1A. We're going to move up. This is obviously you can see the pattern here.
Progression.
The progression, right? We're going to 2A, and you know, we were just telling Coach Jacobs in the break. We've got high expectations for his team this season. So glad he took the time to join us. Coach Jacobs, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. I appreciate you guys having me on. Appreciate what you guys do for the kids playing high school football, what y'all do overall for high school football. I think it's really cool of y'all to do it, and appreciate y'all having me.
Well, Coach, it's our pleasure. One thing I like to ask coaches, and of course, you and I think we talked after the title game last year, but we hadn't had you on before other than that. But one thing we like to ask coaches, we talk about the impact players you guys have got returning, but we were kind of curious to hear about some of the kids that you had this spring. Maybe you weren't expecting a whole lot out of, and you think are actually going to wind up being contributors for you this year.
Yeah, I got several of those guys. And we knew spring ball was really important for us, and of course, the guys we have coming back are well documented. A lot of people know, have a lot of our skill guys back, but we graduated 14 seniors, and I think 10 of them played significant playing time or were starters, and so we had to have some young kids come in and step up, and had a lot of young guys play well this spring. Khalid Ganaway, upcoming sophomore, had a great spring in the secondary for us, and Alan Jones and Tristan Cook and Connor Gatlin played really well. We had a lot of kids that really stepped up this spring, and we're really excited about for them to have the opportunity to be able to contribute next year.
Lee?
What about it, buddy?
Well, you talked about the skill position players, Coach. You got coming back, but I was kind of curious how you guys look up front on both sides of the ball. You're going to be pretty deep on that side as far as up front, defensively, offensively.
Yeah, I think so. I like where we are, O-line and D-line wise. Of course, we graduated 3 starters on that defensive front. We're a 4-3 team, so 3 out of the 4 guys graduated. And on the offensive line, we graduated 3 guys. So that's where graduation hit us the most, was up front. And so that was certainly the area of concern coming into spring, was identifying some guys on which we could count and trying to find some depth there. But some of those guys I mentioned a moment ago are guys that I think have, sort of answered the bell this spring, had a really good spring, had a good scrimmage, had a good inter-squad with our first scrimmage, and then our second scrimmage was with Camden, and we were pleased with a lot of those guys. So we feel good about our depth up front on both sides of the ball going into the season.
Coach Jacobs, one reason we're always checking in with coaches during the spring is kind of the same thing we just spoke with Coach Swinson about in the last segment, is way we gauge teams and their success coming in is how many returning skill players that you got. Man, you got a quarterback coming back off that very successful 2018 season in Cooper Bogus. We feel like he's going to be the front runner for Mr. Football Award this year. Can you speak a little bit about Cooper and how he's looked this spring?
Yeah, Cooper's an exceptional athlete. I think he was clocked laser times 4.61 at the opening in Nashville last week, which is moving. We typically get him in the low 4.5s on a stopwatch. So legitimate 40 time 4.61 kid, going to play defense for us, an exceptional leader, and he's just a ball player. He comes and competes every day at practice, leads by example, and he's as good of a football player as I've coached in 13 years, and this is third year starting. And so, we're really, really excited to have Cooper back for one more year. Sadly for us and good for everybody else, this is our last Bogus. So our last year with the Bogus, and then we're all out of Boguses. They had 4 of them, and 3 of them played football, and so this is it. So looking forward to his last season, and I'm sure it'll be a good one. If we can keep him healthy, that's the main thing. If we can keep him healthy, Cooper's going to play hard, show up every Friday night, and give us a chance to win.
We're joined by Peabody head coach Shane Jacobs here on the Friday main event spring football wrap-up. Coach, I agree. I thought Cooper, had an outstanding year for you guys, but I'm going to tell you, Lee and I, we were up there in Cookeville last year, and probably, we was impressed with the receiver play. I thought probably Noah Hallbrook had one of the most impressive catches we saw in that title game. Has Noah or any other kids on this squad, have they received any offers yet?
Yeah, we got some guys generating a lot of interest. Of course, our tailback's got a lot of offers. Jarrell's got, I don't know how many offers. He's up to 11 or 12 Division I offers. And he's getting offers on both sides of the ball as a running back and a linebacker. And Noah Hallbrook's a burner. He can go, got great ball skills. he and Eli Hammonds are kind of our go-to guys at receiver. Both of them really good baseball players, so their ball skills are really good. And they play both ways for us. And then we have 3 or 4 guys that are kind of battling for that third receiver spot. Tristan Cook, Jadair Easley, Khalid Galloway, and some other guys battling for that third receiver spot. So, we're fortunate right now. I've been at Trenton. This will be my 8th year, and we've had a good run of talent, but more importantly, we've had a good run of kids. We have kids that play hard, they practice hard, they want to be successful, they want to do well. So, we've been fortunate with some really good players. So, like I said, more importantly, really good kids, really coachable kids, great parents, great support. So, it's been a fun 8 years so far. 7 years going, 8 years in
Wow.
Trenton. It's really been a good experience.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Coach, we touched here with your offensive side of the football with your quarterbacks and your receivers and your tailbacks. But, last year in that state title game, you sacked the quarterback, Trousdale County's quarterback, 4 times and stopped them on all 4th down attempts. How many starters are you returning on that side of the ball?
Well, that's where we're losing some guys. We graduated 3 out of the 4 guys in the secondary, and we thought we were really good in the secondary last year in terms of talent and kids that could run. And so we graduated 3 out of those 4. And one kid we have coming back is Eli Hammonds, and he's as good of a free safety as I've coached. In the first quarter of that Trousdale County game, he broke his arm, and he came over to the sideline. And I told the team doctor, I said, Eli's holding his arm. I know he's hurt because he's a tough kid. And the team doctor came over to me and said, he's broke his arm. And I said, oh, gosh. And we were on that short week. We had so many checks defensively. We had so many checks to their formation. Trousdale County lined up 18 different formations, 18 million formations. And so I didn't feel like we could get lined up without Eli back there. And I asked the doctor, I said, well, can he play? And he kind of laughed, and he thought about it, and he said, well, it's already broke. If he can tolerate the pain, he can play. And so I went to Eli, and I said, Eli, doc says you can play if you tolerate the pain. And so anyway, this sucker played the rest of the game with a broken arm and ended up with 11 tackles. And so, I think that's just kind of what we've got on our team. Kids like that going to play as hard as they can. And that's an incredible story, a story that I'll tell anybody that ever asks us about our kids. I'll tell that story about Eli, and I think it's kind of how all of our kids are. They're going to play if they're able to. They're going to play as hard as they can, give everything they got. And so we got 1 guy back in the secondary, and then we have two linebackers back. Jacquez Wilkins and Darrell Dixon are back. And then we got just the 1 defensive lineman, Braxton Johnson, coming back. So I don't know how many that is. Maybe 4 or 5 guys coming back on defense. But like I said, we got some young guys that have prepared all last year and prepared during spring ball to get their shot, and I think they'll take advantage of it.
That's kind of what I was thinking. It's kind of funny because, Lee and I talked about this the other day. I think out of the 17 interceptions you guys had last year, every one of them but the 3 Eli had were made by seniors. So we kind of expected that would probably be the area that you guys would probably be concentrating on this spring the most, given the fact that you lost so many, really good players there in that secondary.
Yeah, no doubt. And I'll tell you guys, we've been in this situation before. Our biggest concern isn't necessarily with depth or players or where we're going to find players. We have good kids. We have good players. In 2014, we won the state championship, and we had a lot of kids coming back. Had a quarterback coming back, tailback coming back, some of our better receivers. We had a very similar situation in 2015 coming off the state championship win. And I thought that we didn't do as good of a job coaching as we should have, because we finished that regular season 8-2, had all that preseason hype. But no matter what, we never could. I never felt like we got that team as hungry as what we were the year before. And to me, that's our biggest thing. And
that's
we
the challenge.
Today. That's it. We talked to our kids today about a guy named Mike Lee. And Mike Lee is the current IBF light heavyweight champion in boxing. And, most of your boxers come from low poverty, very low poverty areas. and they have to fight to make money. That's the only way they can make money, and so they fight, and that's how they fight.
Mm-hmm.
And they're very hungry fighters, and that's how they're going to make their living. Well, you don't see a lot of guys that have come from affluent areas become boxers or become fighters because they don't have to. And when they try to do it, they're not very good because they're not hungry. But Mike Lee graduated from Notre Dame with a 3.8 GPA, while all the other guys are graduating and going to work on, Wall Street, doing these big-time jobs. Mike Lee is a professional fighter, and he's the only professional fighter of which I know, and I like boxing, that has been able to do that. And I think the reason why, translating this to football, the reason why is because you can't be motivated by auxiliary things like winning a state championship or winning a ring or some of these extraneous matters that aren't important. At the very fundamental of who you are, you have to have a desire to be a better player every day and to be a better person every single day. And here's a guy who had everything growing up. He has no need to want to fight, but he's got a desire that burns within him every day to get better and to be the best in the world. And he said when he was 10 years old, he was going to be a heavyweight, he was going to be a champion. And that's what he is. And so, if our goal is just to win a state championship or just to win a ring or some of those extraneous matters that aren't important, well, then we've already done that. And so we sell ourselves short, and then we run the risk of 2015. But if our goal is, I'm going to come in every day and I'm going to be as good of a player as I possibly can, I'm going to be as good of a person as I possibly can, and you have a desire deep down inside you to succeed at no matter what you do, then you have an opportunity to be successful. And then all those other extraneous matters that we all want, those things tend to take care of themselves. And so that's our biggest hurdle, is making sure that we're all on the same page. Why are we doing this? Why are we practicing every day and trying to get better? And so that's our deal. It's really not with depth. It's not with players. We've got depth and we've got good players. We've got to make sure that we're motivated to be as good of a player as we can and to be as good of a team as we can. And that starts with the coaches. We coaches have to make sure that we're doing the best we can to get better every day.
I'll tell you what, man, if you don't make it as a coach, you got a career as a motivational speaker. that was
I'm
great,
ready to go
man.
play for him
Yeah,
right now.
that was great. Well, Coach,
you spend too much time coming in and you practice, and most everybody's going to practice 3 hours a day, and we're going to show up and we're going to practice 3 hours just to win a ring 7 months from now. I can go to a jewelry store and buy a ring. I mean, if that's what we're motivated by, let's sell some donuts and go buy rings. We got to be motivated by seeing how good we can be, and so it just, I get irritated when we come in and we just want to survive practice or just kind of get through it. You got to win practice. You got to come in with a goal, and you got to win it every day. So that's kind of our deal,
That's awesome. Well, Coach, we're up against the break, buddy. I appreciate you taking the time to join Lee and I. I hope at some point during the fall we're able to get you on with us again, if you don't mind doing that.
Y'all come on anytime. Give me a holler anytime. Be happy to join you guys and appreciate what y'all do for the sport.
Thank you very much, Coach, and good luck to you guys this season.
All right, thanks a lot, guys.
All right, Lee. That's Coach Shane Jacobs. I appreciate him. He's the first time we've had him on during a regular show. Of course, we had him on following the championship, but man, that guy's got a loaded team this year.
He does, but I tell you what, man, he's a good coach.
He's a good coach. You're exactly right, and that's matter of fact, that's all we've got on the show tonight is good coaches. I'm pretty excited. Good start to the show. Lee, we're going to cut to. I had Coach Mark Pemberton. I did a quick interview with him as they went over to Franklin County and played Matt McCurry's team. We'll play that while we get our another new guy, Chris Hughes, Fairview's head coach. We'll get him on right after this. This is Friday Main Event. We'll be back in a minute. Mike Molder, Friday Main Event, here with Coach Pemberton, Ray County head coach. Coach, how has spring practice looked so far?
Well, we've been really pleased with it. We've made an effort to make it a lot more physical. We had a really great winter in the weight room. We emphasized that a little bit more, so we really feel like our kids have made major strides, and looking forward to this scrimmage to see, see if it pans out.
And Coach, you lost a couple of your big contributors off of last year. Your son Zach, and of course Aubrey Smith. Both those guys graduate. Who are you looking for to step up and be the team leaders this year?
Well, I mean, we've got a pretty large senior class. We've got about 23, 24 seniors, I think. So all of that group really. Kyle Carr will step in at quarterback for us. He's had a great spring and 6'4", about 200 pounds. So we really feel like he's going to do a good job for us. And of course, we got some interior people back that we had last year. So hopefully we can build on what we did.
Coach, you mentioned some of the guys you got coming back. There's usually a couple of kids that really didn't contribute a whole lot last fall, but they've really come out this spring and impressed you guys. Weren't expecting it. Who would you say that describes on this team?
Well, that's any number of kids, to be honest, because we've had so many kids that have gained so much strength in the weight room over the winter. Like I said, we put a major emphasis on it. Not that we hadn't before, but we went to extremes this year, and it's helped these guys tremendously. So we're trying to find out who's going to step out there and make some plays today. So that way, that's what spring's about. So you can evaluate everybody.
So Coach Catholic goes to D2. I guess Saudi Daisy probably going to be what you'd expect to be the biggest competition in the region.
I think so. I think Saudi will be. Lenore City, Coach Cortez does a good job over there. And Walker Valley's got a new coach, so there's just 4 of us. So yeah, I'd say Saudi's probably, since they won it last year, won our region, and they're the team to beat.
And just a real vague question here. We don't get a lot of information over in East Tennessee. Who do you think will be the team over in East Tennessee should you guys advance that you probably have to be competing against?
Probably somebody up out of the Knoxville region, like a Central again, or a Powell. I heard Powell's got a lot of really good athletes. Of course, you never count out Oak Ridge over there. So somebody up in the Knoxville area is probably the teams that will be the favorites going in.
Coach, I appreciate you talking to me, and hopefully I can hook up with you again later this season.
Appreciate it. Good seeing you again.
Thanks, Coach. All right, Lee Teat, Mark Pemberton. Man, that dude, like I said, all you're going to see is great coaches on this show tonight.
That's right.
We appreciate all those guys taking the time to join us, and really enjoyed that spring camp, spring practice, I should say, against Franklin County. I think Ray County's going to have a pretty good squad this year. Of course, they're new at quarterback. Of course, his son graduated, but if they can get that quarterback position worked out, I think Ray County's got a chance to make some noise this year.
Oh, yeah. Coach Pemberton will get him up. He'll get him coached up.
Well, Lee, we've done 1A, 2A, and our highlighter this spring in 3A is going to be a guy new to the show. First time we've had him on. And of course, we're talking about Fairview head coach Chris Hughes. Coach, how you doing, buddy?
Better than I deserve. I'm having a good summer so far.
That's a good thing. Coach, your Yellow Jackets, obviously that's the focal point. That's the reason why we got you on here. But as I told you in the break, Lee and I, we really want to know, how the Mean Machine, the flag football team, how they're doing this year, and tell us a little bit about that.
Well, the American Flag Football League hosts a huge tournament. We just got back from the Worlds in Texas. We went 5-2 up there. Real good teams up there. But the American Flag Football League has a 128-team tournament, and they give away $1 million at the end. So made it to the final 8 last year. I've never been paid to play flag until just last year. But we made it.
And your age is
52.
52.
And the quarterback, and I don't do a lot of running, but a lot of throwing, and I got a lot of 4-4 guys all over the place running around. So we got some guys from TSU, MTSU. Got one guy played in the league with the Vikings and the Broncos who married a BGA girl, so he lives in Nashville. Just some real good guys with a lot of speed, and then I got a good system, I feel like, and we throw the ball around, run, play good defense. I got a lot of guys from Cumberland, too, which, the AFFL don't want to hear about that, but some of my best players went to Cumberland. We've been doing well. We won $7,500 so far this year.
Wow.
We won $25,000 last year, and we're playing for $10,000 in New Jersey on June 15th.
Hey, matter of fact, while you're on that subject, ironically, Coach, I'm 52 years old, and I could use a little extra cash flow. You got any spots for any old fat guys?
I saw you were trying to get Lee signed up too. We Hey, I've been messaged by people all over the country to join our team, which is crazy.
I bet.
But we only have 12 spots, and
Yeah.
if one of my guys drops out, I'll make sure to call one of you guys. That'd be good. We probably
I'll
be on Friday night main event.
I'll hold my breath. I'll wait on that call.
Yeah. Well, Coach, get back.
It's fun. I have a lot of fun with it, and it's good. It keeps me sharp. I think we do well at 7-on-7. We're able to compete with some really good teams at 7-on-7, where if you put the line in front of us and their line and our line, it'd probably be a different story.
Right.
I've cut up with the coach from Hendersonville who went to Tennessee Tech, Bruce.
Coach Hatfield.
Coach Hatfield.
Yeah.
And we used to get them good in 7-on-7. And he used to tell me, I'd like to line up and run the ball at y'all. I said, yeah, I'm glad we're not doing that with y'all right now. Hey, 7-on-7 is a little different game, but it keeps me sharp, and I have fun with it, and it keeps me young, too. And, now the kids believe I can actually play. I've been throwing scout team for 15 years, and they didn't think I was any good. So,
Well, Coach, getting back to your high school team there at Fairview, we talked to you a little bit off air in between at the break. Tell us about your approach to spring this year.
Well, I go to a lot of conferences, and I do it, one, to get out of town, and two, to kind of keep up with what's going on. Because I feel like the kids are so different nowadays, and you can ask any coach you've talked to, Coach Swinson, Coach Pemberton, any of them, the kids are different today. And we're one of 9 states, I don't think people know this, that still allow spring practice.
Right.
All those states are in the South. They've cut it out up north. They've cut out contact. It's turning into flag football a lot of places. The only time you can really hit somebody is on Friday night in a lot of states. So last year, we had a scrimmage with Forest, who has a good little program, a good, well-coached, and they had all their kids out, and we were missing a bunch of kids. And I had 2 kids I really needed that got hurt and were out for the season. So when I went to the conferences and stuff, I was doing all this research and finding out how many injuries happen when it doesn't count. And it's amazing. It's like 82% of injuries that end high school seasons don't happen on Friday night.
Really?
And they said, how much better would you be if none of your kids were ever hurt unless it was on a Friday night? How many fewer injuries would you have? So this year we did a lot of X and O stuff. We worked with them, and we did shorts, T-shirts, and helmets 3 days, and we did board stuff. We did a lot of teaching, especially to new guys, coming in and refreshers for old guys. We got a lot of X and O stuff done. We ran around some. We kept lifting hard. That was a big thing. Usually when you do spring, you got to give up your lifts. Right. And we didn't do that. We incorporated our lifts with our spring, and it went really well. It keeps the kids fresh. I tell you, I've got kids excited about coming back, after, getting back into workouts because we didn't do spring. So they're hungry to get those pads on at the end of July. So I'm going to see how it ends up. Now, you have to ask me again next year how did that go for you.
Right.
Because I got a couple coaches that tell me we ain't going to be able to tackle nobody. So we'll have to see. I know everybody approaches it different, but I'm trying to keep with it. TWSAA sends stuff out all the time, doing inquiries. I really think, they're going to end up cutting way back on spring practice, and we're trying just to get ahead of the curve. That's all. So that's my take on it. I'll let you know if it turned out well or not. But I feel like our kids bought in. They were not upset about not having spring practice. I will tell you that.
I bet.
So,
well, Coach,
and we're missing a ton of baseball players. And who was it said they had to go in February? Was that Coach Swinson?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it was.
February. Golly, I couldn't imagine doing spring practice. That's not even spring.
Yeah.
That's crazy to me. But I know that if you want to have your baseball, my best players are in track. I got 16 guys running track. They can't be there. So It's hard to get them all together, and we encourage multi-sport athletes.
Yep.
I think if you talk to the smaller schools, they're going to all do that. So we'll try it out, and I'll let you guys know how it turned out after we get through with this season.
Sounds good. Well, Coach, I know you guys, you lost a big part of your offense from last year. I know Brock Harris, Cam Harris-Luss, Blake Russell accounted for a lot of your offense. First off, who do you expect to lead the team behind center this year heading into the 2019 season?
Well, Anakin King, who was our backup quarterback last year, he was about 6'3", 210. He's more of a pocket passer where Brock and Cam could kind of roll out and do things. But he's a big presence with a strong arm. He's been going to camps for years. The only reason he wasn't playing is he had so many good people in front of him.
Right.
And it's his turn, And I always lean toward a young quarterback. But Anakin will get the first shot at it, and right now he's throwing the ball real well and being a good leader. And I'm excited to see what he does. And we do have some weapons. A lot of people had to take a back seat to Blake and Cam, and and those kind of athletes. But I've got a rising junior class that's full of those type of kids. So I'm excited to see how it all works out. But we've got some good talent for Anakin to work with, and I think when all said and done, you'll hear about Anakin King eventually on Friday nights, and you'll probably see some stats for him because he's a good-looking kid. People are already talking to him. He goes to tons of camps, and just one of those kids that works his butt off, and he's going to lead the Yellow Jackets this year.
We're joined by phone with Fairview head coach Chris Hughes here on the Friday Main Event Spring Wrap-Up Show.
Coach, speaking of one of those rising juniors, you got Logan Nardozzi. Nardozzi, excuse me. Rushed for, 1,265 yards and 9 touchdowns last year as a sophomore. I'm sure you're expecting him to be one of the major contributors in the offense this year.
Yeah, he won a lot of track awards this year, too. He's probably one of the fastest kids we've had come through. And he's going to get the ball quite a bit, and, we're not going to overbear him. And then last year, you can look at his carries. He didn't have a ton of carries to get all those yards.
That's right.
When you're getting the ball to Cam and Blake and other people, his touches were limited. But I think this year, with him coming in, and we'll have a little more depth, I feel like, this year than we did last year. So he'll be able to get a few more carries and might not have to play him so much on defense and keep him fresh. And I expect him to do big things. But if he gets loose in our region, he's going to be a tough one to catch from behind, I can tell you that.
Right.
Well, Coach, we talked a lot about your offense, but, your defense, I felt, did pretty good. You could throw out that 42-point Waverly score last year, but other than that, I thought the defense really looked good. Do you think this will probably be a strength for you guys this year?
Waverly scored 42 points on everybody. Heck, yeah, scored 42.
That's why I threw it out.
Yeah, Huntington, they scored 42 on Huntington and still lost by 15 to 20. So it's Waverly definitely. Coach McConnell's got a good offensive system now. He's gone, so I'm interested to see how they do this year.
Yeah,
but our defense is. I tell you, I'm really excited about our defense, and our defense coordinator Ron King is super excited, and Joey Jackson, who's helping him as the coordinator, they have. Really excited about what we've got coming back because our main defensive players are all returned. And when you have that, and they're still young, a lot of them are going to be juniors, and they've already had a year under their belt of experience. So I'm excited about it. We should have advanced last year, and we couldn't stop James Moore, running back from Stratford. He had his way with us in the fourth quarter and took the game over. And, I said we've got to get bigger and stronger and be able to stop those big backs behind those big linemen, because that's what Camden brings. That's what a lot of the teams are going to bring, and we've got to be able to stop it. We're real good against the passing teams and things like that, and wouldn't know it with Waverly, but they ran the ball on us pretty good too. But this year, defensively, I feel like we've got a chance to be really special. This is one of the years that I told them, I said, maybe we won't have to score 30 points to win this year. Maybe 3 touchdowns will be enough to get a W. So I'm excited about that because I think I can score a couple points. So if our defense don't let them score, we ought to go undefeated all year. So.
Well, Coach, we really appreciate you jumping on with us, man. I hope Lee and I, if you don't care, we'd like to touch base with you again in the fall. Have you on with us again?
I'd be happy to. Like you said, you just told on yourself though. You said you had all these super coaches in, and then you called me up. So
no, I wouldn't say that.
you had to roll it to them, but it's an honor talking to you guys. I like what I see so far. What you guys are doing, so keep it up. Any kind of media for kids and high school football, we need to keep these things going, and it's a special thing on Friday nights in Tennessee.
Well, thanks, Coach. Good luck to the Mean Machine, man, and we'll be talking to you this fall.
All right, stay in touch, guys.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Thank you, sir.
See you, bud. All right, Lee. First time on the Friday Main Event. I rather enjoyed that.
Oh, yeah.
He's a good dude, man. I think Fairview's going to be solid this year.
They will.
Especially if the quarterback he's talking about, makes the progress he's expecting. Might be a big year for the Yellow Jackets.
That tailback's the real deal.
Talking about the kid for Stratford, was it Moore?
Moore.
James, yeah.
Well, the kid for Fairview, he's a real deal too.
Oh, yeah.
The amount of carries he had, we didn't mention the number of carries he had, but it wasn't that many for 1,200 yards.
Lee, I done got behind, brother. Let's go ahead and get the next coach lined up. Let's talk to, we'll hear the interview from Coach Dedman.
Yeah.
Of course, he had that scrimmage with Shelbyville. We'll hear what Wilson Central head coach Brad Dedman had to say. We'll be back after this. Mike Molder, Friday Main Event here with Coach Brad Dedman, head coach Wilson Central. Coach, what's your impressions of spring camp wrapping up?
I was pretty pleased with what went on all spring long. We're trying to develop depth along the way and go, and I'm pretty pleased with what we was able to do. We still got to develop a few more linemen coming along to help us out. Trying to install. We went from wing tee to spread this year, so trying to make it a little bit better as far as installing wise and get things going. So I'm pretty pleased with everything that's went down.
Coach, honestly, first time seeing you guys, I didn't really know what to expect. Pretty impressed with the quarterback. New quarterback this year?
Yes, sir. He was a sophomore last year, going to be a junior this time, and he's come along. He's worked a long way. He kind of struggled a little bit in the first scrimmage, but he's bounced back this time, and pleased with his effort he's had all week long and his whole camp long, and hopefully we can just keep improving.
And of course, we're out here at Shelbyville now. You guys are scrimmaging Shelbyville. You've seen at least a half a scrimmage. Your impression so far, pretty much the way you planned, or have they impressed you? What's your thoughts?
To be honest, it's been kind of when no one didn't know what to expect with our guys. I was pretty pleased. We lined up. We was able to play with leverage for most of the time. We got a little tired, had a few missed tackles. I can harp on those. And we had a lot of good reads and a lot of rallying to the ball. And we got the makings of a pretty good defense coming on. Offensive wise, we showed a lot better. We was able to run the ball a lot better this scrimmage than we were the last one. And as far as the weeks progress, we have gotten better as a football team. Which is what I'm looking for.
And Coach, my apologies for not knowing as much about your team as I should. Coming into this season, I didn't know what you got returning, what you got, what you're expecting out of the new kids. Exactly who are you expecting to be the team leaders this year for this team?
Jared Lawrence is going to be a big one for us. He's a 3-year starter at linebacker for us, long snapper as well. Plays a little bit of Y. He's going to be a big guy. Blaze Holder, offensive lineman. He's going to be a big leader for us. Tyler Chavez, I think, is going to grow into one of those leaders. Alex Kane is just going to be a junior, but I think he's a rising guy. And J.C. Richardson, another offensive lineman. We had two starting offensive linemen last year, and they're both back this time as juniors. And we're counting quite a bit on them. They're also going to play defensive well, but those guys will be guys to watch for.
And Coach, your region pretty tough. Mount Juliet had a big year last year. Hendersonville tough. I think Coach Gentry's got Lebanon headed in the right direction. Your thoughts on the region in general? What team do you expect to be the team to beat in this region?
It's going to be hard to go against Mount Juliet right now, with the many people they've got coming back and in the years they've put together lately. They're going to be a really good football team, and no slack to anybody else. Hendersonville's going to be right there knocking on the door as well, Lebanon as well, like you said. Those three teams are going to be very good in their district, and hopefully just keep improving to compete with us.
Coach Dedman, I appreciate the time, and good luck to your team this year. All right, Lee, Brad Dedman. I was really impressed with him. He's one that we haven't had on the Friday main event yet. Seized the opportunity. We was over there in Shelbyville, and I introduced myself, and he was very that's one thing I've noticed. Every coach that I've ever approached about doing an interview, if they got an opportunity to, pitch their kids, pitch their programs, they're all in.
They should be.
So I really enjoyed talking to Coach Dedman. I think I was really impressed with the quarterback play for those guys. I think they're going to have a good year this year.
Yeah, I know he touched on, switching back over to the spread. He went away from that when the Metters kid, Blake, I know,
right.
Had a really good quarterback there for a couple years at Wilson Central, and then when he left, they kind of went back to wing tee, and now they got somebody they think can wing it around, and they're versatile enough to go to the spread. So we'll see.
Yep, that's good. All right, Lee, continuing with the theme, 1A, 2A, 3A down. One of our favorite coaches in 4A, I got him lined up, and of course we're talking about Marshall County head coach Thomas Osteen. Coach, how you doing, buddy?
Doing great, guys. Appreciate y'all having me on this evening.
Well, we got a photo of you and your beautiful wife up on the screen for everybody to see right now, and I believe you got a couple of new additions to the family, don't you, Coach?
It's a new world over here in Lewisburg. So we had this past January had twin girls. And Emma Ruth and Libby Kate, and they're ruling the roost right now.
That's awesome, man. 2 twins. That's where you start a family right there. Don't mess around. Just go ahead and have them 2 at a time.
Dive all the way in. That's right.
Well, Coach, this time last year, you was sitting on a 2-year starter at quarterback, getting ready to come back along with some seniors, and then a month later, he transfers out. And you got to do a little bit of last minute scrambling to revamp your offense. You think everything is going a little more to plan this year, a little bit more settled down this offseason than last?
Yeah, I think that it is, Lee. Of course, every year is unique, and of course, last
Right.
year presented its own unique challenges as well. And hope you never have to go through anything like that again. But that being said, every challenge makes you better, and as a and hopefully challenges you as a coach to make you better. But we've had a good off season. I've had a group that's been working really hard since Christmas, and got a couple of kids that are competing for that job at quarterback, and so we definitely feel like we know what we've got this time of year anyway.
Now, I went over to Tullahoma and caught the red and white game, and I talked to John Olive, and I'll play that interview a little bit later on in the show. But this may surprise you, may not surprise you. He pointed at Spring Hill and Marshall County as the teams to beat in the region this year. He thinks you guys should be solid. He felt that the fact you had so many injuries in the senior class last year is going to benefit you guys heading into this season. How have you looked? Did you have any spring scrimmages this year? And, in general, how are you pretty happy with the team?
Yeah, I think that we've definitely, like you said, we had a bunch of skill kids last year that got a bunch of playing time before they was probably ready to, and there was
Right.
a bunch of growing pains because of that. So as tough as that was last year, I hope that means we've got a bunch of guys this year that have got some varsity experience that's going to pay big dividends, this year. So definitely excited about that. We're going to be younger at our lineman positions than we've ever had, so that's definitely a worry / something we've got to iron out here in the preseason. But we had a good spring. We just did one spring game this year. We scrimmaged Laverne. They're the second week of May up at their place, and went well. As far as maybe the scoreboard end of it, but of course you're trying to evaluate all aspects as well. The biggest part, didn't get any major injuries for the spring. So from that standpoint, I feel like we're in as good a spot as you can be at this point of the summer.
Mm-hmm.
Coach, of your returners, Javaria Rucker was probably your leader in the offensive stats. What role do you expect him to play on this 2019 team?
Man, he's definitely our most experienced guy with the ball. He had a big year last year. He had 15 touchdowns, and he was really would have thrived if we were a true kind of more spread offense like we've been being. He's a scat back type that you want to get him touches in the slot and at tailback. And last year, he over half his carries were from stack or I tailback. So he really took some bruises with that, but this year he's put on about 20 pounds of muscle from last year, so hopefully he's going to be able to play at a high level between the tackles and then still do some special things on the outside like he's done in the past.
We're joined by phone with Marshall County head coach Thomas Osteen here on the Friday Main Event Spring Wrap-Up Show. Coach, obviously you had a lot of holes to fill, losing so many seniors off of that team last year. Who would you say has maybe been a surprise to you guys this year? Maybe you weren't really expecting that kid to be a big contributor this year, but he came into spring and he's really open eyes for you guys.
I think there's definitely a couple of spots, maybe not as a surprise, but a kid that's as a sophomore played a little bit and probably wasn't ready to now being, I feel like, going to be a key player is Christian Stacy for us. The Stacy's a big name over here.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
In Lewisburg, he's played inside linebacker and some fullback last year. And probably was thrown out there before he was ready, but he has had an unreal off season of getting strong and more flexible, and he's a throwback type kid. He loves mixing it up. He's also worked at quarterback for some this spring as well. But in a perfect world, he'd love to be a downhill linebacker and a get dirty fullback. So just a kid that hopefully gives us a great weapon on both sides of the ball this year.
Well, Coach, the only returning starter we think that had took, more than a couple of snaps was Bryson Hammonds. Is he in the mix this year for you behind the center?
He is. He was our backup this past year as a freshman. Definitely got some talent to work with. He's a baseball kid as well, so he started on the baseball team as a freshman. So just an all-around really good athlete. So I'm really excited about him working at that spot. He's put a ton of time in. Kind of in and out of his baseball responsibilities, working at the quarterback position as well. So he's just going to be a sophomore, but hopefully somebody that can be a key building block of our program the next 3 years.
Right.
Well, Coach Osteen, buddy, I appreciate you taking the time to talk to us. Lee and I, we're as long as you've been there, we're Marshall County fans, and happy to see you doing so good there. And I'm expecting big things out of you guys this year.
Well, man, we appreciate it, and thanks so much for all that y'all do for high school football, not just mid-state, but y'all gone global now, I feel like, Mike, with all the people that y'all talking to. So just like I feel like Tennessee high school football has grown so much the past decade, and y'all are doing a great job helping grow the product.
Yeah, we'll be on ESPN next year, I think, so that's what we're shooting for.
I wouldn't doubt it.
It'll be some kind of blooper show.
Yeah, probably. we got that. Well, Coach, good luck to you, buddy. And we're definitely going to holler at you this fall if that's okay with you.
Yes, sir. Looking forward to it.
All right, thanks, Coach. See you, buddy.
Yes, sir.
All right, Lee. Thomas Osteen, how many times have we said it? Young coaches, not many going to outrank him as far as, in our opinion of quality, good young coaches.
Well, I tell you what, we didn't talk a whole lot about it quickly, but I tell you what, that playing those guys early last year, having to play those young guys, you're going to see that, I think, take effect late in this coming season.
Yeah, I
That's
agree.
when you'll really see that come to a benefit to him.
Right. All right, Lee, let's go to break this time, and one of my buddies, shook the camera, Mac McCurry is going to join, or actually I talked to him in a scrimmage against Ray County. So Coach Mac, he's a riot, man. I love him. So hope you guys enjoy this interview. We've got another newcomer to the Friday main event. We got Coach Lowe over at Powell. We'll have him up on the other side of this interview, and we'll be back after this. Mike Molder here with Franklin County head coach Matt McCurry. Coach, how has spring football looked this year?
Well, we've been very basic, and we've tried to go back to the fundamentals, and we're really happy with where our kids are at this point right now, Mike, because we've got a good attitude, we've got a good work ethic, and we've gotten a lot more physical.
Now, Coach, I found out from you earlier you started QBs, transferred out. Who are you expecting to kind of step in and take his place this year?
Well, Riley Engel was our starter when he was a sophomore 2 years ago, and did a really good job with managing our offense and also leadership, and so he would be the natural, we think, right now. It's his job to lose.
And, Coach, you did lose a lot of very important members off of that 2018 class. Who has looked good in this spring practice? Who are you expecting to be the leaders of this team?
Well, Mason Mitchell hadn't been out here because he is recovering from surgery, but we feel like he'll be a great leader. Of course, Riley will be a leader. DeAndre Young has really come through for us and everything. He's very, very intense. He's learned a lot about the ball game, and he's really becoming a leader. We think Chase Schwinderman, who's out right now due to ACL surgery. I don't think I'm supposed to say that, the HIPAA rules. But anyway, essentially, we've got several guys that are stepping up.
Now, Coach, I've found in the past there's usually one or two kids that, they didn't really look like much last fall. They hit puberty or whatever to be the case. They come out this spring like a whole different player. Who would you say that describes on this team?
Well, I would say that Chris Werner's one of those guys. Chris winds up starting right now for us in the defensive line with Chase Winderman gone. We think that and Jess Church being gone, we think it's going to be hard for one of those guys to get him out of there and get their positions back. I think they will, and we'll find a place for Chris as well. But he's one of those guys.
And, Coach, this region as a whole last year, very balanced. I look for it to be very balanced this year with Summit, probably Chevyville, Page. I think Lincoln County is going to be stout. Who do you feel is probably going to be the front runners that you're going to have to contend with the most?
Well, I really think that Summit has got the natural talent. They were young. All of that talent is back. Probably the quarterback, and I can't tell you his name. I bet you by this year's game with them, I'll know his name, but he was a freshman, and I'm pretty sure that he'll wind up going at least mid-major as a quarterback one day.
And, Coach, Rick Rice takes over there, the new Rockville program. You guys got them on the schedule. How'd that game come about?
Well, they were going to be in our region, Mike, but they wound up going ahead and jumping from 5A to 6A out of the blocks, and I knew Steve Luker, the new principal over there. I know Ricky Rice. He and I battled each other when I was at Moore County and he was at Wayne County for years. Had a really good relationship, and they decided to keep us on the schedule, probably for an easy win's what they were thinking. But anyway, it will be a good series, we feel like.
And Tullahoma, another team out of conference on the schedule. Have you heard anything about Coach Olive's bunch?
They're always going to be well coached. Coach Olive does a great job. He and I have been friends for many, many years, and I've got the utmost respect for Coach Olive. But they'll be a little bit younger and a little bit. They won't have Bryce Korn this year, thank goodness. He concussed about 3 of our players last year, so it's good to have him gone.
Coach, last question. This region, you guys just barely missed the playoffs the last 2 years in a row. Is that number one goal this year, try to get postseason?
Certainly postseason and have the first winning season in 15 years is what it would be, 14 or 15. I know it's 14, maybe 15. So that's those are our 2 big goals right there.
Coach, I appreciate it. Appreciate you letting us come over here and be a part of this. All right, Lee, Mac McCurry. You got to love him, right?
Don't ask if you don't want to know.
Hey,
right?
don't ask if you don't want to know. He's going to let you know.
That's
I love
right.
Coach Mac. He's a good dude. He always treats us good when we go
yeah.
over there, and he kind of rolls out the red carpet. Give me the big. He gave me the grand tour last year, and he gives me full access to the facilities and the kids, and I really appreciate.
Oh yeah.
And most of the coaches we deal with, we get the same thing. We've done 1A, 2A, 3A, 4A Lee Teat. Moving on up, we're going to 5A. And this team here, I told them we weren't going to do it, but, man, there's a whole lot of people talking about the Powell Panthers this year.
A lot of noise.
And we are joined now by Powell head coach Matt Lowe. Coach, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well, man. Things are good on this side of town, and things are exciting right here in the Powell community.
Well, Coach, you come back to Powell last year. It's been a few years, I think, at Kings Academy. How much had things changed there between your first stint and what you found upon your arrival last year?
Well, things are different. And, I think part of that is not only the community itself, the school itself, but me also. When I first got the job in 2006, I think I was 26, 27, 28 years old, somewhere in that range. Had never been a head coach before. And so, coming back last year as a 41-year-old, you view things differently, and you certainly approach things differently, and maybe sometimes you're a little more grateful for things as they kind of come to you the second time around. And so, I think I was probably as excited as majority of the Powell community was.
Well, Coach, you're fortunate to have so many contributors back, including your quarterback, Walker Trusley, and then your running back Fernando Francis, and your fullback Eli Owens. How have your returning starters looked this spring?
Well, it's been awesome, man. Like you guys said, I mean, usually these situations, only come around there every, 8 to 10 years when you have such a core group of your team back and some of your top end talent still is young. And so, you're awfully excited. It's an exciting time for me. It's an exciting time for the coaching staff and the community, but 100%, anytime you're returning some of the star power that we are with, it's certainly tough to argue. It all starts and ends with quarterback play, and to have a guy who started a couple games as a freshman, and now here he is, a senior coming back to start year number 4. It's awfully exciting to have Trusley there, and you certainly have some 1-2 punch in Fernando Francis and Eli Owens and some young talent kind of coming in behind them, and then for me, as a guy who's spent so much time and energy. With the offense, to have 4 returning starters on the offensive line certainly doesn't hurt you any either.
Huge.
Some
That's
of the
huge.
talent that's in the backfield. So, it's awfully exciting with Treadwell and Ballinger and Rudder, the 3 seniors up front, majority of which started as sophomores, and now here they are being a third-year senior up there. Just your communication on a Friday night with those experienced guys up front is invaluable.
Well, Coach, I think you guys scrimmaged Chattanooga Central this spring. I know expectations, as you were just talking about, really high for the team this coming year. That's all I'm hearing, to be quite frank with you. I talked to my coaching fraternity over there in East Tennessee, and I don't know if you saw the interview with Mark Pemberton. I had earlier. Of course, he mentions Powell. He says Powell team to beat. What did what you've seen so far 2019 this spring? What area do you think, if you guys are going to make it up there to Cookeville, needs improvement on this team?
Well, I think certainly you got to bring along a lot of that depth. There's obviously some holes. There's some guys, so much of 5A football now, has gone to, almost a truly two platoon type system. And so, having guys play, in the course of a game, play any more than 50, 60 snaps, and you're really, you're really pushing them physically on what they can do at a 100 percentile type level. And so, you've really got to have quality guys on both sides of the ball, and you've got to develop that. But so much of what we're trying to accomplish on a daily basis is just making practice and every day in the weight room and on the field conditioning, just making it as competitive as possible. And, that's our message to our guys is, once we get to the point where we're competing against each other, then hopefully, the game will slow down some on Friday nights. And so, so much of what we've got to do is just become more consistent. I certainly felt like the kids played at a high level at times last year, but there were other times where they kind of maybe either got ahead or got behind, and they didn't respond the way we needed them to. And a lot of that you're going to find in those summer months when things are hard and things are hot, and nobody really wants to be out there at 7 o'clock in the morning.
Well, Coach, we ask this to every coach that we interview usually during the spring. Any kids that caught your attention this spring that you weren't necessarily looking to be a major contributor that just kind of stood out, surprised you?
Well, certainly so. I think some of that can be in the back end. We've got a kid coming back out to the team that's been a basketball kid for the last couple of years in Cole Judy that we think is going to fill in our secondary pretty good, a highly athletic kid. Another young man, Corian McIntosh, that we certainly think is going to make some waves at our linebacker and some of our fullback position as well. He had another good spring, and a couple of linemen that really stood out, and they're certainly going to compete for that fifth spot on that offensive line in soft Cameron Gann, Dakota Ogle, and then in junior Bryson Hodges. But then, on top of that, the defensive side, a young man that's kind of come out in Jackson Daniel that, man, he really fills that void as that nose guard to come in there as a guy who can really plug holes but can also make plays as well.
Well, Mike Molder and Lee Teat talking to Panther head coach Matt Lowe here. Coach, you kind of broke into my next question. You're killing me, man. we were talking about your offense, how much firepower you got. And, of course, you mentioned some kids that you think are going to fill in and help out on the defensive side of the ball. But who do you think will be the leaders on that side of the ball coming back for this Powell team?
Well, it's tough not to start with Colton Webb. He had such a big junior year last year. I think he ended up with 12 or 13 sacks and 20, 25 tackles for loss. And so, he's a big 6'3", 250-pound kid at a defensive end position. And so he certainly was probably the playmaker last year on that defensive side. But then, you kind of round that out with their linebacker core, and we think we've got a pretty good linebacker core. Daniel Stanford's a kid who's going to be a sophomore this year, but started every game for us as a freshman. And you guys know at the 5A level, that just doesn't happen very much. And so, for him to kind of be able to accomplish that as a freshman, we're expecting big things for him as a sophomore. And then going back to Eli Owens, he's just a playmaker. And he's probably, one of our 2 or 3 best football players on either side of the ball, but we certainly like him playing that linebacker position. And simply enough, we return another starter in Jordan Brown, who had a big sophomore year. So, we've really got experience there with Evan England. We're 5 deep at the linebacker position, and all of them have started games and made plays in the past. And so, it really should be a fun group. And like I said, that defensive front with Webb and Jackson Daniel, and then we've got a few other kids that are rotating at that other end spot with Colby Wheeler and some of them. We've got an opportunity there up front defensively inside of that box to really cause some problems and to be able to have a little bit of depth there to roll some guys in to make sure they stay fresh. And so in the secondary, it really, is going to be circled around Baylor Hughes, a kid who's already picked up 3 or 4, Division I offers, and he started at corner for us the last 2 years, and now here he turns around, and he's probably going to move to that safety position as kind of the leader of that secondary. And so, he's certainly going out there and making plays, but he's also helping those young guys, understand where the ball is, what we are in coverage, and putting them in the right position.
Coach Lowe, man, Lee, I think that was the most full segment we've had so far, man. No, I mean, I'm saying that in all honesty, man. That's great. You give me a good rundown. You give us what we want to know about Powell. I'm really excited about this year for you guys, man, and I hope you'll let Lee and I call you back in the fall, and we can get you on again with us.
Hey, that's awesome. I could sit and talk about these kids. I can sit and talk about them athletically. I could talk about how many are going to get a chance to play at the college level. But these are some outstanding young men, and what their families have done to raise them right, what they do in the classroom every day. But the energy and effort that they bring to the practice field every single day is what gets me excited. It certainly takes a lot of pressure off on the Friday nights when you know what's going to happen on Tuesday and Wednesday on practice day. All you got to do is kind of get them lined up sometimes on Fridays and let them go do what they do.
Man, you got a career in media if you ever give up coaching. Just let you know that.
Well, Coach, keep that in mind if I ever get fired again.
Well, Coach, we appreciate you, buddy, and we'll definitely get in touch with you this fall if that's okay with you.
That sounds awesome, guys. I'd love to talk about it. Thank you.
All right, thanks,
Good
Coach.
luck, Coach. Thanks, buddy.
All righty. Bye.
All right. Lee, I enjoyed that, man. That guy's on the ball. That's the first time you and I have talked to Coach Lowe, but man, I could sit and listen to him all day. That was interesting.
He definitely knows his players, don't he?
He does, and that says a lot. I mean, if we realize that in that 10-minute interview, then they know how much he cares for them as well.
Exactly right.
So I think Powell's going to be tough this year, man. They kind of hit a bump in the road, man, and had the player issue last year, and they had to forfeit some games. But that happens. It happens to a whole lot of guys.
They're in a tough region.
Yeah, they're in a tough region. You're right, Lee, and that's one thing I wanted to ask him about. We kind of got pushed against the clock there, but Fulton, Oak Ridge, West. That region, in my opinion, probably the toughest 5A region in the state. Would you agree?
And then Clinton got Coach McCamey over there. He'll get them turned around.
That's right.
A tough region, brother.
Tough region. They're going to have the work cut out for them. But, man, I like their chances right now. They're looking very good. Lee, let's go ahead and get our next coach lined up. We've got new head coach Gallatin's Brad Watson. We've got the interview I had with him. We're real high on him. I think the Green Wave are going to be pretty tough this year.
Oh, yeah. Coach Watson, he's a phenomenal coach.
Good dude.
Big pickup by Gallatin.
Had the same situation. Ironically, they had the player ruled ineligible and they had to forfeit some games.
Yep.
But, again, he and Coach Lowe both extremely good coaches. So glad to get a chance to catch up with him. We'll play that interview and we'll get our good buddy Marty Wheeler on the other side of this interview. Mike Molder and Lee Teat. This is the Friday Main Event. Mike Molder, Friday Main Event here with Chad Watson, new head coach at Gallatin. Coach, first spring practice with these guys. How's practice went so far?
I think for the most part, I think we're about 7 days in, and 6 of the 7 days have been really good. I think our guys competed with each other, and we're trying to have a physical brand of football at Gallatin, and we've been bringing that at practice day in and day out. And I think they've responded pretty well, honestly.
Coach, what big differences have you noted coming from Clarksville Northeast over here to Gallatin? I know probably a lot more history here at Gallatin.
The tradition, obviously, there's a lot of pride in this community outside of the school building. Like you go anywhere in Gallatin, they're always asking about the Green Wave. So the tradition, the amount of support, the facilities that we have, I feel like we got the best facilities of anybody around. So Gallatin's a special place, and I'm really, really thankful to be there.
Some of the main guys coming back from last year, Briggs, Mason, Yarborough, Bruce, Rader. How have these kids looked in practice? You expecting to see them as the team leaders this year?
Yeah, I mean, one guy that's really matured, I felt like since I've been here, Spencer Briggs. He's not the most vocal guy, but he's starting to become more vocal in his play and the way he runs football. I think a lot of guys look to him, and we've had a lot of older guys step up on the offensive line especially, so we got a good group of kids. James Mason's come in. He's kind of our defensive leader. One kid you didn't mention is Trusted Kemp. He's kind of a defensive leader for us too, and we swapped positions from him. He was an inside linebacker last year. We moved him to D-line. Hadn't complained and done great with it.
Any surprises? There's always a couple of kids. I'm sure this being your first year, you didn't really know what to expect, but from the other coaches, the ones that were here last year, any of them shocked by any of the players you've seen so far?
AJ Branham has really stepped up and become more physical. Overall, Montez Banks at quarterback's grown as well. So, yeah, we're really happy with where we're at and got a good test today against Blackman Tennessee and see where we're at and where we need to get better.
And looking at this region, Coach, you guys have kind of dominated Region 5 in the playoffs the last few years. Beach is a team a lot of people are looking at this year, expecting them to be really well.
Yeah.
What teams in the region do you think is going to be a big obstacle for you guys?
We're going to take them one game at a time, but obviously Beach, I wouldn't be surprised if they ain't top 2, top 3 in the state in 5A with what they did, making the Final Four last year. Hillsboro obviously is always really, really good, and Hillwood scored a lot of points. And anybody in that region is going to be good competition, but we're really focused on Lebanon and what Chuck Gentry had done, and we know that's going to be a huge game week 1, so we're trying to get ready for that one.
And, heading into this season, Gallatin down a little bit last year, really haven't been where the fan base would like them to be. What's a realistic expectation, you think, for this Green Wave team this year?
Just go out there and compete our butts off and see where it goes from there.
All right, Coach. Well, I appreciate it. Good luck to you this season.
You.
All right, Lee Teat, we are back here on the Friday main event, spring football wrap-up show. Good show so far.
Oh, yeah.
I guess we might as well go ahead and taint the waters a little bit. We've hit 1A, 2A, 3A, 4A, 5A. Let's head up to the big boys, and we got a newcomer to the big boys this year. Our good friend, one of our favorites, Coach Marty Wheeler, former head coach at Covington. He's now at Cleveland. Coach, how you doing, buddy?
Doing good, Mike. How you guys doing?
We're good.
Moving today, is that what you were telling us?
Yeah, it's this is a little different circumstances than I normally talk to you guys under. I'm in really adverse situations right now. Like I said, my wife and I, at the current time, we're not speaking, but it'll get better.
I hate to tell you this, brother, but I've been there, done that. I can relate to that.
Oh, I tell you, I forgot. It's been a while, since I've had to do this, so I'd forgotten about how much fun it was.
Yeah, I hear you. So you in one of the mansions up there in Hamilton County now? Is that the deal?
Well, I'm just trying to survive, man. No, there ain't that much change, that's for sure.
Hey, man, you got, like I mentioned, you had a real successful 3A program. Of course, you played a major part in building that Covington squad up. Now you're at 6A, despite a lot of tradition there at Cleveland. They haven't had a lot of recent success. What made you think that was the right move for you heading over there?
Well, first off, like you said, Cleveland has had a lot of tradition and a lot of success in the past. Anytime a school with that type of success, no matter what decade or what time frame that it happens, it's always a place that you pay attention to. But to be honest with you, if I told the truth, how I first really came familiar with Cleveland was a long time ago when I thought that I was ready to be a head football coach, and that was probably, and I wasn't, but the job at Cleveland came open. I wasn't familiar with Cleveland at all, and this was 15, 16 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And so I put in for the job, and, my uncle was a head coach over in North Georgia, and he called me about, we were talking football one day and jobs, and he asked me how I was interested in leaving Covington, and that was as an assistant. I said, yeah, I put in for a couple of jobs, and he wanted to know where. I said, well, there's some school over here in the East Tennessee. I'm not really familiar with them, but I just know they're in the East. And when I told him it's Cleveland, he started laughing at me. And I said, well, what's so funny? He said, man, they're not going to call you. I'm like, what do you mean? He said, they're a powerhouse. They've won 50 or 60 games in a row. And I said, well, man, how did I supposed to know that? I'm from Alabama. I don't know any better. So anyway, to make a long story short, of course they didn't call me that time, and he got a big laugh out of that. But I told him that that would be one of my goals one day, that they didn't want to talk to me then, but there would be a coming day that they would want to talk to me, and so that's sort of how that. And I've shared that story with a lot of folks here in Cleveland that they've asked the same questions you guys asked. Why Cleveland? Why? Well, where did you, or how did you become familiar with them? So that's a little bit of a.
So it's basically a how you like me now story. Is that what you're saying?
Well, no. I hadn't been here long enough to be talking like that. It was just it was a personal goal though to see a program.
Right.
A program with tradition. So I always kept up with Cleveland, from a distance anyway, just to see how they were doing. We were having our years where we were having success. I would always pay attention to their scores. Just like I did some other programs, And of course, I know Coach Renshaw, who came here from Dyer County back when Coach Crawford came here, and so that was just it's just a skill that I've always looked at from a distance, kept up with, and an opportunity presented itself. And Donovan Stewart would tell you this, if you want to confirm it, it's a true story. I told him in this offseason that if there was one job that I really would be interested in the state of Tennessee, it would be Cleveland, and that was before Christmas. And sure enough, I had no idea that the job would come open, and it did. And so, I reached out to some people that I really trust and I know that are familiar with East Tennessee. But more importantly, man, not just those guys, but the folks at Cleveland. The big thing I got Mike, I even said something to you about it. Every person has had something different to say about Cleveland, but the one common denominator that they all use is that it's a great place to raise your family. Right. And man, I've been doing this 20 years, and it's hard to believe that it's been that long, but I've made decisions based on what I thought was best, for me as a football coach for a long time. And when, you got kids getting as old as the ones I have, you guys know that you've raised children, and it's my number one job is to be a great dad.
That's right.
So that's sort of, that's a credit to Cleveland, and that's a credit to the folks here that felt like that had enough confidence in me to, give me an opportunity to do this thing. So we're excited to be here, and we'll see what the future holds.
Well, Coach, it's been a long, long time, man, since you've been at a spring practice, not knowing what to expect when you get out there. What was your first impressions of the team and of your staff, and do you have all your staff in place?
Well, my first impressions were, be careful what you wish for, to be honest with you, because it had been 10 years since I had went into a spring really with the same mindset that I had going into this one. But, a long ways to go for sure, culture-wise, mentality-wise, the kind of football we want to play. But I will say this, in a very short period of time, I think we have a really good core group of kids that want to do. I mean, man, they want to do what it is that we want them to do. Coaching staff-wise, I was very fortunate, very blessed that, I've got a lot of guys on this staff that I think are very good quality football coaches. Right. They are excited about a change in philosophy and running the football and trying to play good defense and helping our defense out, and those type of things. And I won't go too much into that, but it was very interesting, Lee. It's a great question. It's something that I'll tell you this. The negatives were, didn't know what to expect. Positives were, I was probably more fired up for spring practice this year than I've been in probably 4 or 5 years.
I bet.
Yep.
So really interesting 2 weeks.
We're talking to Blue Raider new Blue Raider head coach Marty Wheeler here on a Friday main event. Coach, like we said, you've had limited time with the kids. I'm sure your main focus this spring has probably been, trying to figure out exactly what you got and what areas you need to focus on. What I wanted to ask you for the fans, the Cleveland fans, and man, those Blue Raider fans are diehard, dude. What should they be expecting schematic wise? Are you guys offensively, defensively? How will you deviate from Scott Cummings' offense, defense, what he was running last year? What's the plan right now for Cleveland heading into this season?
Well, I mean, it's a great question. I know a lot of the fans are, interested to find that out. I would tell you this much: it will be. Our philosophy will be we're going to run schematically. What we're going to do, what we believe best suits our personnel. Offensively and defensively. And Mike, I'm a little disappointed in you. I've been doing this a long time together. You asked that question. I thought you knew better than that. We're going to do what gives us, we feel like as a staff, the best opportunity, or gives us the best opportunity to win. And I'm going to leave it at that. I mean, if you guys want to know what we're doing, you can pay. They can pay $7 like everybody else.
Well, it wouldn't be the Friday main event if I didn't highly disappoint you on one question. So, I had to throw it out there. Lee, go ahead.
I know you would. But you know what? The biggest adjustment I've had over here, let me say this. I'm not going to go there with that. The best thing that we've done since I've been here, and it wasn't with our entire team, but we took 15 seniors, and Mike, I know before I tell you this, you're gonna be in shock, but we took 15 seniors to Knoxville for spring practice, and we had all access to the facilities and practice. We got to see the Vols practice and their coaches, coach their players, and man, it was really what I wanted our guys to see was the pace of practice, the way they practiced and how fast they moved around from drill to drill, and the way coaches challenged players, and the players responded. And so that's really what I wanted to get accomplished, and I'm so thankful for Hawk and Coach Pruitt for allowing us to come up on that campus, and really, man, a really cool experience, not only for our players, but for our coaches as well. We got to be around the team at the end of practice and listen to Coach Pruitt address the players, and it was really a great move by our staff. Great idea, and our kids really responded.
Hey, he's got that Alabama background too, so.
Well, he does. He and I will. What's funny is I was on my way to get to holler at him and maybe shoot the bull about and talk about how they cheated us at Plainview and that kind of stuff. But I got cut off by two Cleveland alumni that just happened to be up there watching practice that day. And of course, that's when I really knew, hey man, these people are serious about football here, because I said something about going. Well, I'm on my way to see Coach Pruitt. They didn't act like I said anything. They're like, well, Coach, tell us now, obviously, what you think, how you feel like the Raiders are going to look. Talking about was Cleveland. So I really felt like at that point I got a pretty good understanding of how serious a lot of these folks are about their football program. And, man, you've heard me say this before. Yeah. If it wasn't that way, I wouldn't be here. So
that's right.
Really excited about the summer. Guys, the summer will be huge for us. How well our guys, attendance-wise, effort-wise, they're starting to – I see some progress. I do see progress in what they know what's expected out of them, a little bit more on a daily basis. But it's one day at a time, and the old saying, Rome wasn't built in a day. But we got a good group of seniors, and I don't want those guys. We're not just going to move on and prepare for the future. We want to build a solid football program, solid football team for this coming season with these guys, because I think they're really quality kids, and I want them to experience success before they go out of here.
Hey, man, I was going to cut you off and we was going to end this interview, but I did think of one thing I wanted to ask you about. I know you Alabama guys, you sometimes you're a little slow learners, but you're in the 3A classification with Alcoa, pretty much the Goliath of high school football, and you smart. You got away from that.
I know where you're going. I know where you're going.
But you decided to go in the region with the most storied program in the last 20 years of high school football. You're playing Maryville every year. What the heck was you thinking? That's all I got to ask.
I don't know. It's a great question. I've asked myself that a couple of times since I've been here. But, Coach Hunt at Maryville, I called him before I came over here. He was really, really receptive. The phone conversation, really nice guy. I think a lot of him. I think he's a first-class guy.
He is.
But he was really nice to me. But I wanted to know, he ain't feeling me. I've been doing this. I told him, I think at one point I could have coached you. He looks like, I'm telling you, he's the only coach I've been around, especially at a program like Maryland. But any coach, really, if you could actually suit him up, he could take his helmet off and run across the field, and when nobody say nothing to him.
I'm thinking he might start shaving next year.
Don't tell him I said that, because I want him to. I don't want to get him on his bad side. But I'm gonna tell you, I don't know. I can't get away from him. I tried to get away. People thought, well, he's get away from Alcoa. Well, you can't say that. I left the Covenant to get away from Alcoa and went over and play Maryville. So you can't say that.
No, sir. That's what me and Mike were talking about. Coach Wheeler, me and Mike brought that up. You definitely are not running, but that's a sign of a good coach. You want to play against the best competition and see how you stack up. A lot of guys do run from competition, and that's one thing I can say for Coach Wheeler. He's not running from competition.
He ain't scared.
Well, Lee, I appreciate you saying that, but let me tell you, you can go ahead and thank Mike for that. his opening into the way he started this conversation out was, I know you're from Alabama and y'all don't learn, but I tell you what, we're not in Alabama. We're not scared.
That's exactly right.
We've proven that. People are scared of us in Alabama. So you knew that was Mike. You know I get that Alabama jab in there.
Hey, we love you, buddy. We love you.
Hey, I've spent more time, but I'm a Tennessee fan when they're not playing Alabama, so I'm not gonna wear orange, but I will pull for them. And look, I don't know. To be honest with you, I don't know exactly. We're going. The Cleveland fans should expect our guys to play hard. All right, we're gonna play hard, and we just want them to feel like they got their money's worth. Whatever they charge to get the game, our guys are gonna be. It's gonna be hammered to them, guys. We just want our folks, our fans, to be. They want to feel well represented. You know what I mean? Of the community and the school, and they just want to feel like they get their money's worth. And that's sort of the approach we took. I've always taken, and the winning just sort of. Makes its way to the top on that kind of stuff. Let's just play. Let's make sure everybody gets their money's worth, and I think the rest of it take care of itself. So,
well, hey, brother,
that's where we're at.
I'm up against the break. Here's what I need you to do. I need you to go in there and kiss your beautiful wife and tell her you love her and smooth everything over. It'll all be good here in another month when you get everything moved in.
I will, Mike. I might even stop by Walmart and give me one of them hats. It's silly hats I always see you wearing.
There you go. You need to do that, man.
Lee, I know you got a kick out of that, Lee.
Get out of here, man. Get out of here. We're done with you.
See you, man.
See you, brother. Lee, he ain't worth a plug nickel.
Oh, my God.
He ain't worth a plug nickel. But I love him. So,
oh, yeah, he's a riot, man.
All right, he did exactly what I thought he'd do. He got us way behind schedule here. So we'll go ahead, play Kid Hartsfield. We'll get, ironically, it'll be a good interview to play. Blackman head coach, then we'll get Will Kreisky on with us. And Friday Main Event, be back after this interview. Mike Molder here, Friday Main Event. We're here with Blackman head coach Kid Hartsfield. Coach, spring practice coming to a close. How's your guys look this year?
It's been pretty good. We're getting a lot of guys some work with got several offensive guys and a couple linebackers in spring ball and track and baseball. But overall, I'm pleased with our progress and just excited to compete against a good team today.
Coach Knox, Otay, Napier, a lot of those kids gone now. Who are you expecting to step up as team leaders for the squad this year?
Yeah, that's kind of what we're here to see today. Drew Beam and Connor Murphy are for sure, but they're in baseball. So it's an opportunity today for those guys to kind of get that opportunity and step up, and hopefully we'll know who those names are by the end of the day.
And Coach, there's always a couple of kids coming back from last year, hit a growth spurt. Maybe you wasn't expecting a lot out of them. Who would you say probably fit that description on the squad?
Yeah, there's several. A lot of young O-linemen, John Hartman, O'Brien Jackson, Braden Ingram, a lot of rising juniors who have really developed over the offseason. I look forward to see how they look in their first live varsity action.
And Coach, this region always tough. Oakland's always expected to finish high. Cookeville, Riverdale always in the running. Who are you expecting to be the biggest contenders for you guys in the region this year?
Yeah, you got to come to play every Friday night. I haven't seen anyone play, but just traditionally, our rivals are Oakland, Riverdale, and Siegel in county schools, and it's a challenge every time. So it'll be tough as always.
And Coach Rockville opens up down the road. Coach Rice takes over that program. Is that going to affect you guys any as far as pulling any players out of your program, or what do you expect out of them this year?
Yeah, that Coach Rice done a great job in the past at Wayne County, and great hire for them. Definitely affects us population-wise within the school. We'll drop from about 2,500 to 2,000 students. A lot of young kids are rezoned to Rockville, so it'll definitely affect us in Riverdale, and it kind of shift the entire county's population a little bit.
Defensive leaders, I think Dejon Gibson, Newsom, a couple of kids coming back. What do you expect out of the defense? Should that be a strong point for the team this year?
Yeah, we always want to pride ourselves on a great defense, and Gibson is a big-time key returner. Today we'll get to see what he can do on offense a little bit, probably more than defense. Look forward to see what Newsom can do at linebacker. He played defensive back in the past, but him and Malachi Burns both have transitioned to that side of the ball and I look forward to kind of seeing what they can do there.
Malachi Burns, kid, played for Shelbyville last year, I believe I'm correct. He comes in over here. Will he be playing both ways? I know he played receiver at Shelbyville. Will you guys have him on that side of the ball any?
Yeah, he'll play both ways tonight, and just depending on the weather and kind of when we get all our pieces together, we'll be able to figure it out more. But he's a good enough athlete to help us everywhere.
And losing Knox, this kid, Malachi, comes in a very similar build with Trey Knox. Has he gotten any interest yet?
Yeah, it's really picking up. He got his first offer from UT Martin this week. And he's really progressed in practice and learning the culture and the schemes and things like that. So certainly going to have a high expectation for him.
Coach Hartsfield, I appreciate it, buddy. Appreciate you letting us come out and cover the game tonight. Good luck to you this season.
Thank you, sir.
All right, Lee, as Kid Hartsfield, Blackman head coach, I think they got a lot of talent back, man. They're always a solid program.
Oh, yeah, Rutherford County.
Rutherford County, man. There's no sleepers over there. All of them are tough. Speaking of Rutherford County, Lee, we've went through 1A through 5A. We've had 6A. We doubled up on 6A.
Yep.
I wanted to get Riverdale's head coach on with us. I think Riverdale's games are going to be on the Duck this year, 93.9. I may or may not be associated with that. We hadn't decided yet. One guy over there said something to me, so
All right.
hopefully I'll be helping out with the broadcast over there for Riverdale. But we're going to bring him in now, Coach Will Kreisky. Coach, how you doing, buddy?
Doing well. You better be doing our games on Friday. Contract negotiation when we get them.
There you go. That's what you need to do. You need to, hey, either Molder's in or I'm not doing it. I like that.
Exactly.
Well, Coach, I believe this, correct me if I'm wrong, I think this is your fourth spring camp there at Riverdale, head coach. How do you compare this one to the first three camps?
Yes, it is. It's besides our helmet issue, it was a lot smoother, transition with the kids and getting everything ready and just being prepared. We've kind of had the last 4 years spring practice the same time of year. So the kids are this is the first group that'll actually seniors that'll graduate that's had this coaching staff all the way through. So the seniors did a great job leading the program and leading the team during these drills. We got a lot of things we need to improve on. We're not anywhere near ready to play a Friday night football game. But the practices and the way we did things through individual and team settings and group periods went a lot smoother than it has in the years past.
Well, Coach, one thing we feel like is going to help your Warrior team this year is the returning, obviously, of Taylor Yancey. He's got a ton of starting experience under his belt. Can you speak a little bit about how he's improved over the years and what you're expecting growth-wise out of him this coming year?
Taylor has done a great job. A really good, really great kid. He's really, really good in the classroom, and he really works hard to excel in the weight room and off the field. Today after we finished weights, he stayed after with a group of kids passing. We got a kid that played for us a few years ago, Marquell Odom, and they were out there throwing for a few hours. It's just his work ethic. His work ethic is one of his strengths, and that's going to help him excel on Friday nights, and do a great job for us. He's not really a vocal leader. He's real quiet and just kind of leads by example.
Another thing that we saw on paper that looks to be a strength of your team this year is the defensive line with Javon Nelson, Gaston Haney, Cartmel, Eric Brown. How'd they look this spring for you?
Javon and Gaston had a really good spring. Gaston Haney had a great spring. I still really don't understand why anybody hadn't pulled a trigger on him. He's a great kid. He's doing well in the classroom. He works hard. He's proven it on the field. He really turned it loose this spring, and I was really impressed with him and the way he got after it. And in every practice, he didn't miss any rep. He was there going hard every practice. He did a great job. Now, Javon, he's very athletic, very talented kid. Worked hard. He had a little shoulder issue that held him out a couple practices,
right.
But Javon's he's very talented. His future's very, very bright. We're excited for both of them. C.J. Cartmel, he broke his femur against Cookville last year,
Right.
week 8. So C.J. has not been fully released from the doctor. He's just now getting around jogging, and we're hoping that he'll be full go once we start practicing at the end of July.
We're talking with Warrior football head coach Will Kreisky here on the Friday Main Event. Coach, you saw me, I'm sure. I went over and watched a couple of your practices. I think Josh Harney, C.J. Johnson, Julian Walton, Drew Smith, Braden Woodruff, I believe that's Dylan's younger brother, You know, I think all these kids you're probably expecting to be contributors for this Warrior team. Do you feel pretty good about the level of playmakers that Yancey's going to have around him as far as you know, offensive performance goes?
Yeah, we're excited. You know, Drew Smith's another one that should be on the list. He's a running back that, you know, he had over 1,200 yards for us,
Right.
around 20-something TDs. So we're excited. Drew's not, he's not going to break the 80-yard run, but Drew's going to get the tough yards. He's going to get 15, 20 yards burst. And he's really hard to bring down. And Drew's he really excels in the fourth quarter. That's when Drew gets going. That's when teams are getting tired. And he's really tough to bring down. C.J. Johnson's another kid. He's an explosive kid. He's had a great offseason. We're really excited about him. He is a leader. The team does follow him. Now he's just going to be a junior, but he had a really big sophomore season. He plays both sides of the ball for us. He plays receiver, slot receiver, and then defensive back for us. And we're expecting big numbers out of him this year. Josh Horney's also receiver, DB. We're expecting some good things from him, too. He's done a great job working hard. His work ethic's really good, and he's really focused in on trying to get it better and improve himself as a football player. So Yancey will have those offensive threats to help him. We got to do a better job as a coach staff getting these guys together and all being on the same page. And, it starts in spring football. It starts in the month of June. We're allowed to go out on the field with football. So these next few 3-4 weeks are very critical to get us prepared for once we start full pads in July.
Well, Coach, earlier in the year we talked to Coach Hartsfield about this. How much do you expect the new Rockville High School to impact your numbers?
I'm really nervous about our freshmen. We don't really get to meet with our freshmen until the last day of school, and tomorrow we're on a half a day. So Thursday, our freshmen will be coming in. We'll have a freshman camp meeting. So I'm really a little leery of what our numbers will be. We usually have between 40 to 45, 50 freshman kids, and it may be down to 25 to 30 this year. So, it's got us a little worried. They didn't grandfather any of the juniors in from sophomores and juniors, so we're losing about 10 to 15 kids, good kids. We lost a lot of good kids from the freshman class that we had that will be going to Rockville. So, our JV numbers will be down a little bit this year also. But, it's part of it. We're supposed to be gaining some kids from the rezoning and everything, but it's nothing we can count on. We're just trying to get the guys that are there working hard, prepared, and ready to go for Friday night.
Right.
Well, Coach, looking at that Region 3, always one of the better regions in the state. I think most people would probably expect Oakland to be a strong contender to repeat. I think Blackman's going to be strong. Like I said, we talked to Coach Hartsfield. I think Siegel, you guys, Cookeville, you guys all are going to be, right there in the mix as well. And we don't really, nobody really knows what we're going to get out of Rockville. Coach Rice, and I'm sure you'd agree, Coach Rice, one of the better coaches in the state. I expect them to be competitive. I don't know whether it'll be this year or not, but, eventually I think they'll be competitive. Where do you feel Riverdale fits into this region this year? What do you kind of expect?
We got a good group of kids returning. We have to do a better job of getting ourselves prepared to play in the top teams in the league. We got to do a better job competing with the Blackmans and the Oaklands. And, we have the kids that can do it, but we just got to believe in ourselves and do it. We can talk it and we can practice it, but until we truly believe in ourselves that we can do it. And I think this senior class has that mentality to be better prepared and to be ready to go when we face those teams. In Cookeville, Coach Maynard does an excellent job. He's a great football coach. He's won a lot of football games. If I can win half as many as Coach Maynard has, then I'll be satisfied. And Cookeville's going to be a tough team. We got them early on. That's our first region game of the year, and we have to go to Cookeville. And Cookeville's a tough place to play, so that'll be very tough. He's like us. He played a very young class last year. The last 2 years, Cookeville game has come down to the last play. We had Savion scoring on that.
I called that game, man. Hey, man, it's funny you brought that up. We had a discussion on a group I'm in earlier this week. That was the greatest game I think I know it's the best game I ever called. There was 2 lead changes in the last 10 seconds of that game.
Exactly. They throw a touchdown pass to their tight end.
I remember Coach Brooks screaming, telling make sure you get your hands on a tight end, and sure enough, we didn't get their hands on tight end, and they scored, and then they onside kick or not, they squibbed it.
Right.
We covered it at midfield, and Yancey rolled to the right, Savion wheeled out to the left, and he threw it up. It just is one of those things, like you said, you had to be there to believe it and see it, man. It's
amazing, yeah. That was great.
And then last year we played them we beat Cookville last year in double overtime. So
that's right.
We've had some tough, good battles with them, and Coach Maynard always has his team prepared. Like you said, from top to bottom, this district's very tough, and Coach Rice is a heck of a football coach that also has won a lot of football games and won a state championship. So we're going to have to be prepared. The main thing in this league, you got to stay healthy. You got to get guys. Valuable experience, valuable reps so that they can play on Friday nights, because there's going to be those guys that won't be able to go a full game, and the guys that you bring in have to be prepared and mentally and physically ready to lay it all on the line on a Friday night.
Well, Coach Kreisky, man, I appreciate you jumping on with us, man. I look forward to hearing your games on 93.9 The Duck this season, and hopefully I'll get an opportunity to be a part of that.
I appreciate what you do for high school football and promoting it and having this spring show. It's good for our sports, and it's not only good for the sport, but it's really good for the kids to be able to promote them and let them showcase their talents. And we really appreciate what both of you and Lee do for high school football.
I appreciate it, Coach. We'll be hollering at you again soon, buddy. Thanks a lot.
All right, thank
Coach.
you.
Take it easy, man.
See you, Coach.
All right, see you.
All right, Lee. That's another one. We're talking about the young guns, man. There's so many great young coaches here in Middle Tennessee, and of course, Will and his twin brother Matt over at Centennial.
Both Henry County products.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Come from a good pedigree.
Got a good pedigree, so really enjoy talking to those guys.
That's right.
Lee, it's time.
Let's roll with it.
It's time. I don't know of any other top tens that have been rolled out so far this year, so I know all the Friday main event faithful and the other guys that are new to Friday main event, they need something to criticize.
Yeah.
So
we're going to give it to them.
We'll give it to them. We'll put our top 10 out, Lee, and we'll start down in 1A. We're not going to get real deep into this. I know you got to head over to our real job here soon over at Nissan, so we'll try to make this quick. We'll start at number 1 and we'll go down, Lee. And I think you and I mentioned this in the first of the show. I think there's 4 teams here. Most people have in the top 4, and Huntington, we've got them at number 1. I mean, we had Eric Swenson on with us, with Brandon Lawton back, 720 yards, and then of course Daquan Robertson, another running back, solid, and then Hunter Inslee. We talked about him. I like them at number 1. What's your thoughts on that?
I agree, and then Connor Pearson is a stud on defense, man.
Yeah.
And they just, to be honest with you, I thought they might get there last year. Of course, Cornersville made a crazy good run there, but I got them at number 1 myself. I mean, I think that's probably a very good pick.
Number 2, I was tempted to flop this one because my understanding is Braden Sanders injured himself in baseball this year. Not 100% sure he'll be back, but we got South Pittsburgh, Vic Grider's Pirates. We got them at number 2. I think they'll come in to the Cookeville, the east side of the bracket in Cookeville, representing 1A. And definitely if Braden Sanders is able to get back, I like their chances. Ronto Tipton, Lee, was a kid, probably one of the best players we saw last year.
Oh, yeah, he's an athlete. So, Coach Grider, he knows what he's doing. Double overtime loss last year, we'll probably would have been at the Clinic Bowl.
Right.
Or Clinic Bowl. I said the Clinic Bowl.
You old school,
I'm dating myself at the state title game. So, I fully expect them to be in the hunt and be right there at the end.
Yeah, I like them. Greenback, I think, is the team over of the 4 teams. We expect South Pittsburgh, Greenback to be right there. Greenback, man, they've got a lot of talent coming back. They got the number 30 recruit in the state, 6'6", 230-pound, Darrell Bailey. He's a lineman, and I think he's a load. I've seen this kid. We saw him in spring last year. Holden Willis is back at receiver. And my understanding is they had a kid that transferred in from William Luntz going to play quarterback.
Okay.
He'll take Haney's place. So they shouldn't miss a beat, Lee. I think it's going to be a good battle between them and South Pitt in the semis.
Very well could be. I'm anxious to see that Greenback-Coalfield matchup. That'll
Yeah.
let us know where they
Good point.
stack up. But, yeah, I like Greenback at 3.
Number 4, we got Lake County, Josh Puckett's squad. Again, another team's got a lot of kids back. They got Tanner Snyder back, Larry Tubbs, Campbell Puckett, Isaiah Matheny. A lot of talent back for this Lake County Falcon team that lost to Cornersville in the semifinals last year. I like Lake County.
I'll take it.
Coalfield, you just mentioned them, Lee. I think Keith Henry's Yellow Jacket squad, I think they're going to be really good this year. They played Greenback pretty tough last year. Greenback has had Coalfield's number for the last, 4 or 5 years. That'll probably be a good battle again. I think that'll be probably the toughest game for both teams in the season as far as region games go.
Coalfield's a little senior heavy, too. So.
They are. You're exactly right. They got a lot of seniors back. I think they'll be solid. Freedom Prep, I think, is a team over in West Tennessee, over in Region 8. I think the War Eagles win Region 8, Lee.
Right.
A lot of talent. Chris Morris, offensive tackle. He's a number 8 recruit in the country. You got Tevin Carter at quarterback, and, of course, he's only a sophomore. He's got offers from Tennessee, Michigan. You got to like it with that much talent. You got to like a team in 1A, don't you, Lee?
Oh, yeah, with that many athletes on the field. Yeah, that's probably a pretty safe pick.
Yeah, when they played Lake County last year in the 3rd round.
Banks All-State, too.
Yeah, that's right. Forgot about him. Yeah, no doubt. Freedom's going to be in the mix. Mount Pleasant, our buddy Bronson Bradley, got them at number 7. I think they've got, another team that's got a lot back. Hayden Lovely back at quarterback. Keyshawn Hudson, wide receiver, over 900 yards, 14 TDs last year. Kane Forrest is back at running back. I like Mount Pleasant, like the Tigers over in Region 5.
We'll see. Coach Bradley, I think last year that 56-6 loss to Huntington, I'd like to see his kids respond to that.
Yeah.
He's using that as a tool.
All summer.
All summer long.
Yep.
So I think they'll be coming out ready to rock.
Fired up. I agree with you. At number 8, we've got Oliver Springs. I think the Bobcats, Larry Green squad. Again, they got some pretty good players back. Blake Crass is back at quarterback. Terrell Boswell, running back, also a good player. And, of course, Crass is kind of a dual threat.
Right.
He can run the ball. So I think Oliver Springs over in Region 2. It isn't that tough Region 2, but I think they'll do well. Anytime you have to go up against, teams like Coalfield and Greenback in region play, that's going to make you better. In all likelihood, possibly a first-round sweep, potentially. I think Region 2 over Region 1. That would probably be a good assumption, especially with some coaching staff moves over in Region 1. Whitwell, they're under new. Speaking of coaching staff, they got Travis Olinger there. He was the defensive line coach. Of course, our buddy Randall Bolden goes to Waverly. So,
That's right.
But Whitwell, the thing about it, Lee, even though they graduated a ton of kids, when you get that winning attitude and you learn how to win those close games, they made it all the way to the title, won the title 15-0.
That's right.
You gotta put some weight on that, right?
Well, 15 games.
15
Played
games.
15 games, and they've made.
That's extra. You like to say extra season,
It's
right?
almost an extra half of a season into the playoffs. Those kids ain't going to forget how to play football because of that. Like you said, it just added basically a season to them. So we'll see. I like them in the top 10. It'll be interesting to see with Coach Bolden moving how Coach Olinger does. But they should be excited.
I like Wayne County. Of course, Rick Rice moves out. Kerry Cruz takes over 26 years on staff there at Wayne County.
Let up.
Yeah, I expect everything to be more of the same. They have some good kids coming back. Travis Patterson, Wesley's back at quarterback, got a good strong arm.
Right.
I think, probably Wayne County potentially is going to challenge Huntington, and that's the team, if you remember, Eric Swinson was worried about was Wayne County. So.
Well, Wayne County, I think we got them in our top 10, but they might be the sleeper team that'll creep on up through that.
That's true. Yeah, I'd say 10 is probably low, to be honest with you. We probably should have them a little higher. All right, Lee, I'm dragging, man. I said I was going to get you out here quick. But
we're good.
All right. Well, let's go to 2A. That's our 1A. And, again, you can rewind it if you missed a team. That's our 1A. 2A top 10. Lee, I think pretty much everybody probably has the guy we had on tonight, Shane Jacobs.
Right.
Peabody, we like them at number 1 with Cooper Bogus back and Noah Hallbrook. I think, the only thing that's going to beat Peabody is Peabody this year.
Oh, yeah. Bogus last year, man, had 2,000 yards total offense and 36 touchdowns by himself. I say by himself, but he contributed too.
Right.
But they just got a ton of athletes. The only thing, like Coach Jacobs said, they got to shore up a few things on defense. But
Secondary, right?
I think offensively, and then as good of a coach as he is, I have him at 1.
I had people text him after that interview, said they was ready to go play.
Oh, yeah.
He said he had motivated the deal. Yeah, he's good at that. At number 2, we got our buddy Jason Fitzgerald. We got Meigs County Tigers at number 2. So if you look at it, Lee, if you go in through the brackets, we got somebody in the East, somebody in the West. So I guess essentially we're saying Meigs County Peabody's in the state title game.
I would think so, because last year I was at that Trousdale Meigs game, semifinal game, and Swafford's a real deal. Aaron Swafford, their quarterback, 2A Mr. Football winner.
Right.
Just a solid player. Doesn't make a lot of mistakes. I liked what Coach Fitzgerald did. Trousdale's just a very tough place to play, and the weather was horrendous. So I like Meigs at the 2 spot.
I do too. Gabriel Maldonado, wide receiver, DB. He's a senior also. I think those 2 kids will be leading that offense. Trousdale County, you can't count the Yellow Jackets out, especially when it got a Satterfield leading them. Blake Satterfield takes over for Brad Wagner. They got Cameron Rankin back in the backfield. I think the Yellow Jackets going to be pretty solid this year.
I do too. And Claiborne and that Kobe Ford, he's an outstanding looking young man too. So they got plenty of weapons. And like you said, they got a Satterfield on the sideline. You got a shot.
You got a shot, exactly. Union City, our buddy Darren Bowling, we got them at number 4. They got beat pretty badly by Peabody in the 3rd round last year. Down year for as far as Golden Tornado standards, 7-6, 4-2 in region play. I think they rebound.
I do too.
I expect them to be in the thick of it. I think they'll be challenging Peabody in that very, very tough. They call it the slobber knocker region.
Yeah.
I mean, you got Adamsville, McKenzie, Union City, Peabody. It's a really typically, I think Gibson County's played well. Gibson County, I think, actually knocked Peabody off. The only loss last year.
Right. So I think
that
Coach Bowling gets it back going.
I do too. I think he challenges Peabody for that region title. Tyner Academy, and this team, this is one of the teams, Lee, I think I told you earlier, we may have them too low.
It's very possible.
Jeremiah Batiste, 1,136 receiving yards, 15 TDs. Of course, they've got Rawls back, throwing the ball to him. He had a big year last year with 20 TDs, only 6 interceptions. He also runs the ball very well. Tyner will challenge, I think, Meigs and Trousdale over on that side of the state.
That's very well possible.
That should be a 3-headed race over there if everything plays out the kind of the way we expect it to. And don't count out our number 6 team. That's Oneida. The Indians, Tony Lambert's team, I think looks very good. A lot of returning players, a good solid team. You like them? You think I got them too high? Maybe.
Maybe a little. Just
well,
a little. But
I'm kind of thinking.
We'll see.
Yeah, who knows?
Tony Lambert didn't forget how to coach. I mean,
right.
Guys won 58 games in 7 years at Oneida, runs a wing tee, and I think they're going to be fine. It's just going to be, can they get over that hump?
Right.
They lost to South Green last year in the 23-21, so
yeah,
we'll see.
We'll see. At number 7, we got Fairleigh, and that Region 8 team did real well last year. They did fall to Union City, as we mentioned in the second round, but Gene Robertson, he's kind of one of those prodigies. He come up under Salisbury over at Whitehaven, so he's got a real good format for a team as far as how he wants to run a team. I like what they're doing over there at Fairleigh, and I like them at number 7.
Yeah, he's young too, 28 years old.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty senior heavy. So anytime you got senior leadership, I'll take it.
I agree. Gibson County team we just mentioned. This is a team I may have a little high, Lee. I'm kind of going on Coach T feedback.
Right.
I think I may have Gibson County a little high, to be honest with you, but they seem to be pretty high on them on Coach T. So I got them at 8. Again, I'm kind of looking at it now. Maybe a little high, but I mean, Cody Finley, they had a good year, 7-4 last year. Then it really tough Region 7 we just talked about, and the fact that they beat Peabody last year, I think that kind of perked my interest a little bit.
Yeah, it was odd, but that was odd.
That was a weird loss,
yeah,
wasn't
it blew
yeah.
blew my record. I know that.
That wasn't the only thing blew our record. South Green, we got them at number 9, Lee. Jody Harrison's squad lost to Meigs in the 3rd round last year. Region 1 team, I think that was the furthest a Region 1 team got. Like the Rebels this year. I think they're going to be pretty solid again. They got some pretty good returners, including Levi Myers at quarterback. And then at number 10, Lee, we got McKenzie Rebels. Wade Comer, very, very great. He's a very good coach. I think he's kind of doesn't get the kudos he should get as a head coach. He's always done a great job over there.
Question. How long's it been in 2A since Marion County has not been in the top 10?
Well, I may should have them in the top 10, but 3-7 last year, Lee, and I've not heard the noise I normally hear about Marion County. So we actually had them on our watch list, them Watertown,
and
Forest, and Lewis County. We had those teams. You could mix and match any one of those 4 in that, I think, in that bottom 8, 9, 10 spot. All those things fairly even. Yeah, we did have them as a team we were looking at, but hadn't heard a lot out of them. All right, Lee, that's our 2A. Let's move on to 3A. And how we're dragging. We're going to speed it up. I'm not going to get you out of here by 9 if I don't speed it up. We'll blow through this 3A pretty quick. We don't have a lot of 3A teams around here anyway. I'll go ahead and just blow through them. That sound good to you?
Let's roll with it.
Alcoa at 1. We have Milan at 2. We like Pettigrew's team. Teddy in his 2nd year. I like the Bulldogs. We got them at 2. We got Covington at 3. J.R. Kirby taking over for Marty Wheeler. I think Covington's going to be solid again this year.
Yes, sir.
Upperman, Lee, Adam Kane's squad. He's in his 2nd year at Upperman. I like them. How do you like Upperman?
I do too. Donovan McAllister, the quarterback's good, but Adam Kane, he surprised me with that 27-14 loss to Alcoa. They played them pretty good.
Played them good as anybody, didn't he?
Yeah.
He's a great coach. Came over from Sequatchie, I think, and he's done a good job. Yep. Austin East, unfortunately, another team in the region with Alcoa, but the Roadrunners are always very solid. Jeff Phillips' squad. Number 6, Giles County. David O'Connor's Bobcats, of course, they were another team that had to forfeit a lot of games last year, but look at the players he's got back, Lee. I mean, it's like,
senior.
Yeah, it's amazing. He's got at least 12, 13 contributors back. So I think Giles County will be good, really good this year. Pearl coming in. Again, this is Region 5 in the mid-state. We've got Pearl Cone at 7. We got Stratford at 8. You remember Stratford went on that run. They entered the playoffs at 4-6.
Tailback.
Went on that run and made it to the semifinals. Yeah, what was his name? James Moore. I think he had over 2,000 yards rushing.
2,300 almost.
That was a kid that Fairview's Coach Hughes talked about running all over him. So, yeah, I think Stratford does good again this year. Fairview, we got them at number 9. And then rounding out our top 10, we have Red Bank at number 10, Chris Brown's squad. So that's our 3A Lee Teat. And moving quickly over to 4A. 4A, I told John Olive this earlier, man. I think 4A is probably more up in the air, more wide open than it's been in a long time.
I think so.
Because, and the reason why we say that, Kane Ballard's out at Greenville, and as good a squad as he had, honestly, I think what made them great was his ability to coach them up.
Well, and his son.
Yeah.
I mean, Cade. That guy was amazing, but Dan Hammond has been there a long time. I don't expect to see a whole lot of drop off. Everhart is really good. AJ Greenway. I don't expect to see a lot of drop off because Coach Hammond's been around that for so long.
All right.
So we're keeping them at 1.
Yep. They got a young guy, Terry Grove, is really impressive. Young tackle, sophomore, I think 239 pounds, 6'4". They're expecting good things out of him.
Young blood too.
Yeah, yep, young blood. Yeah, they still got a lot of players there. They did lose a lot, but still a lot of returning players that have won a couple of titles, so they know how to play football up there. Elizabethton, they're region rivals. We got them at number 2, Sean Witten's squad. He's got a lot of kids back as well, despite the fact that he graduated some talent. Anderson County, we've got them at 3, and ironically, I think Lee, if I remember right, it's the exact same top three we had last year.
Exactly right.
I think, East Tennessee just kind of dominates of recent, I'd say,
4A wise.
4A wise. Yeah, they've been really tough. I like Anderson County at 3. At 4, we move over to West Tennessee. We've got Dyersburg, Bart Stowe. He does a great job there at Dyersburg. Sean Harris, Israel Barbie, Trey Taylor at running back, Antonio Quinn. I mean, they got a lot of kids back. I think Dyersburg does really well. Of course, they lost that upset to Haywood. We thought they would get Haywood.
Right.
Got beat pretty handily by Haywood. Maplewood is the first mid-state team, and Arcente Broom, we like him, don't we?
Oh, yeah, I love it. Love hearing him talk and speak. Think he's good for Metro.
Right.
He's a bright star over in the Middle Tennessee area, and, man, he's got some talent coming back.
Yep.
So I think they may make a push, buddy.
They might, I agree. And then, of course, they lost Bobo Hodges, but they got a lot of kids coming back.
Yeah.
I like them. I like Springfield at number 6. Dustin Wilson, we've had him on with us when they were up in the title game a couple years ago. Like them at 6. I've got these guys high according to what everybody's telling me, but the reason why, Lee, and that is Ryder Gallardi. And
Nolensville.
We're talking about Nolensville Knights, Paul Derrick squad. Probably high as far as what most people think. But Tim Koutras is the wide receiver, really talented wide receiver. I like him. What do you think?
They might make some noise.
Might make some noise. That's what I'm thinking. Anytime you got a returning quarterback that can sling the ball as good as Gallardi, you got a chance.
But, man, you got Maplewood, Nolensville, and Tullahoma,
That's
which is that's a tough region. You fight
region.
Out of that region, you're ready for the playoffs.
That's right. And people are expecting Marshall County and Spring Hill to be good in that region as well.
Be tough.
Yeah, that region, matter of fact, has swept Region 3 the last 2 years in a row in the first round. Jackson Northside, Jesse Powell did a really good job last year. We got them at number 8. Moving on down, we got number 9 at Tullahoma. Quarterback Ben Fulton back to lead that offense. Coach Olive said in the interview in the spring, team speed is a concern, especially on the defensive side of the ball. So I like the Wildcats. I got them at number 9.
Right.
At number 10, Lee, we got East Hamilton. And the reason why, and this is probably not a good reason, but I got them at number 10 because Grant Reynolds comes back to town.
That's right.
I like what he did over at Boyd Buchanan. Grant Reynolds is a friend of the show, friend of the Friday main event. He's a very, very good coach. And, man, he's on my Facebook, Lee, and I look every day, and he's got another college coach on campus. So those college coaches aren't coming to campus unless he's got a lot of talent there.
That's correct.
So I think East Hamilton may be a shocker over in Region 2 this year. All right, Lee, quickly. Well, no, I keep saying quickly, but I'm not moving quickly. Over in 5A, our top 10, and I love our number 1. Who is it?
Beach.
That's right. Anthony Crabtree squad. They got a lot of kids back. They were real young last year, Lee, and still ran all the way to the semifinals against Henry County.
Well, Coach Crabtree no longer has to deal with Knox Catholic.
You remember that?
But take Knox Catholic out of the way. Beach is a front runner every year, but Coach Crabtree, I think, is going to get it done this year.
Credit to Coach Crabtree that he gets his team there that deep every year, year in and year out.
Every year.
And you're right, man. He was he was not a happy camper when we interviewed him up in Cookville a couple of years ago after that Catholic game. But you're right. Don't have to deal with that anymore. So I like Beach. At number 2, Lee, I got Knox Central, and they've got Dakota Fulver back at quarterback, 2,600 yards, 27 TDs to 6 INTs. In that championship run, went over Henry County last year. I got them at number 2. I think Coach Rosser does a good job there at Central.
Correct.
At number 3, we got Henry County, who were the runner-ups last year. We got the Patriots at number 3. Again, they've got some talent coming back. Coach Counts does a really good job there at Henry County. At number 4, a guy we had on earlier, Lee, Matt Lowe at Powell. We've got number 4 is Powell.
A lot of noise.
Is that a good pick there? A good decision putting them at 4? What do you think?
I think it is. I think he's got the talent to get it done. Trustly, he talked about a core group of kids that only come around so often, and
Maybe low. 4 may be low for
I
them.
think they might make a push.
Yeah, I think it'll be them and Central competing
correct.
there in that quarterfinal matchup in all likelihood. Well, actually, yeah, that'd be semifinals, wouldn't it? Be
Semis.
Region 3, Region 3 or Region 2. Oak Ridge in Region 3. We got them at number 5, Joe Gaddis' squad. I like them. They got Mitchell Gibson back at quarterback. Had limited action last year. Isaiah Johnson at wide receiver. Good-looking ball team at number 6. We've got Paisley, and I like Cade Walker, quarterback.
Yes, sir.
So I think Charles Rathbone's team, they look really good. A lot of talent back. Region 5 is going to be very competitive again this year. South Doyle is a team that's getting a lot of talk on Coach T. I don't know if you've heard that or not. Clark Duncan's squad with Elijah Young, he's fast, really fast. A lot of guys on Coach T are talking about him. I think South Doyle's going to make some noise this year.
Got everybody on O-line back, too.
That's right. Yeah, that's that. I mean, anytime, you and I, we're the same as far as that goes. We look probably at returning starters, we look at the line as much as anything.
Oh, yeah.
And they're deep on the line coming back. Hillsboro at number 8, Maurice Fitzgerald squad. And we got Davy Crockett at number 9. And then we round out our top 10 with Brad Watson's Gallatin Green Wave. And I put them there, leave, because I saw them in the scrimmage. I was really impressed with them. So I think Gallatin has a chance to make some noise there in Region 6. Region 6 is always a tough region, but I think Gallatin is going to be right in there competing with Beach this year for Region 6. Sorry, brother, I'm trying to hurry.
It's all good,
I can't do it justice if I just fly through it.
Flying.
Region 6, Lee, Class 6A. I sent you my top 10 for your approval about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I didn't know at the time about Cody Sparks.
Correct.
And he is a transfer from Hamilton Southeastern in Indiana, 6'5", 215. He's already got several offers, and he is now playing for the defending 6A state title Oakland Patriots. Kevin Creasy's squad.
Along with Aaron Moore and Jackson Riley and De'Aaron McDonald, Dorian Anderson. Coach Creasy's got the players.
They're loaded. They're loaded again. He lost a ton, but he's got a ton coming back.
Over there.
And I had them at number 3, Lee, because I thought, not having a quarterback, and then they lost some other skill players I thought would hurt them a lot. But like I said, man, they just reload. And whenever I found out they got Cody Sparks, I just kind of bumped them up to number 1. So we got Oakland Patriots repeat. We got them at number 1 again. Yep. I like Ravenwood, and one of the main reasons I like them is because Brian Garcia is back at quarterback, 3-year starter, almost 2,000 yards passing last year, 16 TDs. They lost to Whitehaven semifinal. I believe they were up in that game, were they not, Lee?
Yeah, they were till half.
Yeah, at halftime. So I think given the fact that you got a starting quarterback, a talented starting quarterback that made a semifinal run last year, I like their chances this year. So I like them in Region 6. I've got Maryville at number 3. I did have them at number 1, but, Oakland, I don't know, man. It's going to be tough. I think it will come down to those two again in the semifinals. You agree with that?
I do.
Maryville's always tough. I got Whitehaven at number 4. It's kind of like 1A. You got that big 4 that everybody's expecting the championship to come out of those 4.
Right.
So we got Rodney Salisbury's squad at Whitehaven. We got them at number 4. Of course, they got shut out by Oakland in the title game last year. So they're going to come out there with the red arse, I guess is.
Right. They're tons of talent.
Tons of talent, man. They're going to be coming. They're going to come in with guns blazing this year. Mount Juliet, I think you thought I had them a little high. Reggie Grimes, if he stays at Mount Juliet, of course, we heard rumors he may be transferring, but if he stays, I like him. And, of course, Malik Bowen, number 19 recruit in the state at wide receiver. They got talent. I like Mount Juliet at 5. A little too high?
No.
You going to go with it?
I think so because Coach Perry, man, they played Oakland to the wire.
They did.
Probably best game plan, best performance against Oakland of any team last year. Yeah, I think that's a good 5's a good spot right now.
Okay. All right. Well, good. Yeah, I like them there. And then, like you said, they did play Oakland well. Farragut, we got at number 6. Eddie Courtney's squad lost to Maryville in the 3rd round last year. Region 1, I think they probably would be the team to beat in Region 1. Should be a good ball team again this year. Cane Ridge at number 7. We really like Eddie Woods. Of course, he's got Jaquez Norman back. And I was as impressed with him as I was the kid that won Mr. Football. His name's leaving me now. The running back last year. Yeah, him.
Yeah. Well, they got Quentin Barnes too. So.
Yeah, I got Quentin Barnes. He's a good ball player as well. So I think Cane Ridge is going to be pretty good. Ravens number 7. We got Independence at number 8. Scott Blade's team got a lot of talent back as well. Chase Bishop, who's Blaine Bishop's son, number 15 recruit. Ethan Cash, I thought, played really well, wound up coming in and beating the returning starting quarterback out last year when he transferred in from Summit. He should have a good year for Independence. You like that pick?
Yep.
All right. We'll go 9, Brentwood, and that's another Region 6 team. I think Region 6 is going to be pretty solid in 6A again this year, that Williamson County region. Ron Crawford, great coach. I absolutely love talking to him. Very knowledgeable about football, and he runs a good program wherever he's at.
And I tell you what, he's got one heck of a quarterback. Gransnow.
Yep.
He's good.
Yep. And that's one reason why we got him there, Lee. He's got that returning quarterback, going to be a junior this year. And then rounding out the top 10, Lee, about 4 teams. I couldn't decide which one to put in there. I stuck Blackman in there because we saw Hartsfield, and he's got Malachi Burns, a kid that transferred in from Shelbyville. I think he's going to take up some of the slack when Trey Knox graduated. Malachi Burns, very similar build to Trey Knox, so hopefully he'll be a good target for him to throw to. So I like the Blades, man. That's our top 10. What do you think, brother?
Well, it's spring.
It's spring, yeah, exactly. We've had a pretty good track record with our top 10, though.
I think so.
I think last year was probably the worst we've done as long as we've been doing this. We predicted 3 out of the 6 state champions last year. We missed out in 1A with Whitwell. I think we missed that one. What was the other teams we missed out on? We got Greenville, we got Alcoa, and we had Oakland, didn't we?
Yeah.
No, we did all right. We did all right.
Yeah.
So, all right, well, Friday main event, spring football. We appreciate Coach T. Coach T is our title sponsor again this year. Appreciate him, everything he does for the show with the exposure we get. Lee Teat, I appreciate you, brother, coming in here and doing your thing, and hopefully the viewers enjoyed the show. We'll leave you with John Olive interview. I had Coach Olive on with us, but we'll leave you with John Olive, and that'll conclude the show. Be sure and subscribe. That's the main thing we need. We need you to hit the subscribe button. You're already right there. The little button down below says subscribe. Hit it. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the broadcast. And, again, we'll be back end of July, Lee, 1st of August.
1st of August.
We'll do all of our region preview shows. We'll go through every region, 1A through 6A, and run them down and give you predictions on that. So, Mike Molder and Lee Teat, this has been a Friday main event production. We appreciate you guys, and we'll see you in the coming fall season.
That's right.
Mike Molder, Friday main event here with Coach John Olive. Coach, you guys coming off a huge year, one of the better years you've had in recent history. What was the general vibe coming into this spring practice for you guys?
Well, I think everybody's excited about, trying to build on what we accomplished last year. The big thing is they have to understand that we lost a lot of those teammates. So we'll be a completely different team this year than we were last year, but we're excited about it and see if we can't improve our speed a little bit. Maybe we can get back into the thick of things.
Coach, of course you lose Kobe Burks, Race Marin, Bryson Core, a lot of big playmakers. You do have a quarterback, Ben Fulton, back. How's he look this spring?
Ben's had a solid spring, and Ben will he's going to do well. He's still got some weapons with him, so we're excited about where Ben is, and we won't play him much tonight. We'll let the younger guys fight it out for most of it.
Coach, some of the names I noticed when I was kind of looking back over last season, Hunter Palmer, Hollingsworth, Jacoby Thomas, Hunter Jewell, some of the bigger playmakers for you last year. How have those guys looked, and do you expect them to take on leadership roles this year?
Well, that's the big thing. We're looking for the leaders. And all four of those guys, and Quentin Howard, those guys they're solid. They're rock solid in the springtime here. Palmer and Thomas are obviously two guys that we've got to be able to get the ball in their hands more than a few times a game.
And Coach, I was kind of going over my preseason top 10, looking over teams for 4A. I do have the Tullahoma Wildcats in the top 10, but probably more so than in recent history, 4A wide open with Greenville losing a lot, Elizabethton losing a lot. What teams in your region in particular are you expecting to be the toughest teams to work against?
I thought Spring Hill has more players who have played coming back. Marshall County ended up playing a lot of players last year because of their injury situation. So I think those two teams are probably the two that are, as far as having players that have been on the field when the action is hot, they're probably the two teams that I would put at the top of our region. You don't know what Maplewood's had show up. We know, they lost a lot of young men like we did. When they did their senior night, there wasn't many over there on their sideline, and only two of them actually played in the ball game that night. So, but being a metro school, you just never know what's going to show up at their doorstep.
And Coach, this particular spring practice, any surprises, any kids you weren't really expecting to come out and then take on a leadership role, but they've shown a lot of improvement over last year?
Well, I think that we've got a couple of young linemen that have had some really good days. They just got to become more consistent. Trent Epsey being one of them. He played on the freshman team last year. He's caught our attention. Jaquez Elliott's finished up well this week. Somebody that had some abilities but just wouldn't turn it loose. Nick White is back, defensive end for us. So we've had several. Seth Collins, another one that's caught our attention. So we've been missing some of our linemen, two of them that started for us last year, Poe and Caden Bradford. So it's given some of the other linemen a chance. Jalen Newsom's had a really good spring, especially at defensive tackle. So, those are probably the ones that I'm probably left somebody out, but I know those guys have caught our attention.
Coach, like I said, I kind of looked over your region schedule and the team that you did mention that I kind of noticed that with Wharton, he was out last year for Nolensville. The sophomore quarterback looked pretty good. Is that a team we need to watch?
Well, yeah, they'll be solid. They're like us, though. They lost a ton of players that had played 3 years for them. And so by the time we play them, they'll be in pretty good shape probably, but the early part of the season, they're going to be playing a lot of players that have not seen much playing time except, their quarterback has, and they've got a couple of others that have, but we were a senior-laden region last year, and Marshall County lost a lot of seniors, but they had that injury situations take place, so they ended up playing a lot of young players that got a lot of good experience. And that's the reason I put Spring Hill and them at the top as far as returning players.
Right.
Now, Nolensville's, they'll be solid. They're going to be a solid football team. I just don't know how long it'll take them to gel because it's just different playing JV and jumping up and playing varsity.
And Coach, we spoke before we went on camera, and you felt like probably team speed is probably the area you guys really need to improve upon before next fall.
That's correct. That's the Achilles heel right now, and you either have it or you're chasing it. And last year we had really good speed. We could run people down, and this year we've still got a few that can run, which means you can play offense. It just hurts you on the defensive side of the ball because what should be a 0 to 1 yard gains of 5 or 6. Right. What should be 5 or 6 is 15 or 20, and what's a 15-20 is a touchdown.
Right.
And that's where the lack of speed really So we're going to work hard on it. That's our goal during the month of June, is to try to knock a tenth to a tenth and a half off everybody's 40 time.
Well, Coach, I'm really looking forward to the season, buddy. I appreciate you giving me the time, and good luck to the Wildcats.
I appreciate it very much.